I am lucky.
You get to wake up to your two doves.
Comedians should be free.
Dr. Sasaki then began what was a near uninterrupted 3-day shift trying to help the people of Hiroshima. Now, at first, Dr. Sasaki thought that the hospital had been the sole target of a bomb, so he got to work bandaging the thousands of injured people inside the hospital. But soon, thousands more began wandering through the doors, and before long, the injured and dying citizens filled every hallway, laboratory, staircase, driveway, courtyard. Eventually, a veritable sea of people filled the surrounding blocks of the hospital, all of whom were clinging to the faint hope that someone would come out to help.
And to think that there was just hours before they were running from Godzilla.
Showdown.
That was the only thing that
Godzilla was many years later. Godzilla was a result of the atomic bomb. I can't believe you would make such a stupid, simple mistake.
It really is actually quite pathetic, the mistake that you made. Everybody knows that Godzilla, along with King Kong, were probably babies at this time. In no way would they even be there.
I've been thoroughly
Maybe
dressed
Godzilla
down
could have yeah,
by
maybe-
my co-host, and I
Been thoroughly
will
dressed
somehow
out.
continue.
Yes.
Well, to put it into perspective, it's estimated that
hate
10,000
PC
survivors made their
players.
way to Dr. Sasaki's hospital. while
Oh,
only
that's too funny.
600 beds were
This is this
available.
guy's name.
And
I hate
remember,
PC players.
one
69.
Faced with the increasing enormity of his task, Dr. Sasaki decided that the
Why? What did I
only
do
thing
to
he
you?
could truly do was to keep people from bleeding to death. He
Aside
became
from
what he described as
bully
an
you
automation of a
relentlessly.
doctor, wiping, dabbing, bandaging, wiping, dabbing,
Yeah.
bandaging, over and over again for 3 days straight.
Why is
Making
this-
things worse, the floors were covered in blood,
Oh,
vomit,
right.
sloughed off skin.
Yeah, it would make it worse.
It would totally makes it worse. And,
And-
yeah.
and eventually decompositional fluids.
It's so much worse that way.
Remember, it's August, and it was a particularly hot August, and people were dying in the hospital by the thousands. There was nowhere to take these bodies, and more importantly, there was no one to carry them off. So the dead decomposed and liquefied next to the living.
Man.
By the end of it, Dr. Sasaki only took
Oh,
1
buddy, do you
hour
regret
of
going that way
sleep
or what?
during those first 3 days, and once he was finally forced to go home, he slept for 17 hours straight.
But you guys will all be happy to know Winston Churchill did not miss one 3 p.m. nap. And
I know
because
that
he needs
for
to
a
be
fact.
I
rested.
even knew it
remember
was
that
coming.
being
Dude,
rested.
that's the
They
worst
were
part.
Arrested, yeah. It was a nice nap room, too.
Oh, it was really nice.
Do you
yeah.
think that there's, you know what's going to happen now is that there's going to definitely be some commercial where they're going to go through the hospital fields of Hiroshima, and then you're going to see one guy like half melted and stuff. And he's just like, hungry? You're gonna give
Yeah,
him a
you're not you when
Snickers,
you're hungry.
And then he's going to turn into
Snickers.
Tom Papa or something.
Yeah.
He's going to turn into some like funny
fun
guy.
like
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's,
Funny guy.
that's funny. Who's that shirtless guy?
Tom
Bert
Segura.
Kreischer.
Maybe
Oh,
he
no.
could be in it.
Bert Kreischer should go help people in Hiroshima.
That
at
would
this
be
time period.
nice. That would be
But he
nice.
was German
Because
descent.
Well, that's
so.
that's the thing too, is that if he's in Hiroshima, he's got a reason why he's not wearing a shirt because it got blown off.
Hey man, don't even worry about me. I'm Gen X's crazy guy.
It writes itself,
It
Henry.
does write itself. There you go.
Help us all.
It's also I suppose
on.
you could do a marketing for
Come
nurses.
on. I shot him sometimes. What's that about?
Non-stick or the
non-slip,
Ah,
non-slip ones there.
Glenn Borland.
Yeah, what about that? What a
Ooh.
stupid idea that was, huh?
No,
Shot
this
me.
is horror on a never-before-seen scale. This
Truly.
is brand new to
In the,
the planet.
in the
yeah.
billions and billions and
Well-
billions of years. Maybe the dinosaurs saw something.
I mean, technically, the concentration camps were this but long.
This, but on this scale with the
In one day.
in one day, yeah.
just
See,
different.
that's how America does it. We get it done like
Yeah.
that. One go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
don't-
remember that with our last
Yeah.
20-year war.
Yeah.
We went
Yeah.
in, we went out.
Yeah.
Well, we had. Oh,
This
God.
is the
Yeah, we don't
super
really need to
fun
get into, like,
camping
what's
stream,
worse,
apparently.
you know, the
That's
No,
a
no,
long
no,
shot.
no,
Yeah.
no,
We don't really need to get into that.
no.
I'm just saying is that humanity had never seen this.
I do think that's the spinny wheel from hell, though. You get transported like Holocaust, Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Yeah.
Having to watch Steve Harvey's final set. I don't know what it is, but it does seem like just horrible.
Got him.
There we go.
Nobody's sick.
I was trying to come up with a little
You
bit of a
got
joke
me.
there.
yeah. And
Yeah.
landed on Steve Harvey.
He did.
I did
Whoa,
technically
what
was a
my head
joke.
going
It's in
on?
there.
Yeah.
Now, one would think that the people in charge would at least have the presence of mind to treat the destruction of a city using the hellish power of the sun with some solemnity. You know, at the very least, even if they are vaporized instantly, you still just killed 80,000 people. At the very least, you'd think they could keep their jubilation restrained, because after all, they believe that the war is now over. A very long 4-year war is over.
What if I...
Instead, when Truman told the crew of the ship taking him back to America after the Potsdam
Barrel.
Conference that the atomic bomb had destroyed the city of Hiroshima,
Check
he was
the
met with a
group.
resounding cheer and thunderous applause.
Again, far away from it, thousands of miles away from it. You have been watching all of these American ingenuity, talking about how we've spent this long to end this war, and that you've been fed this line that this is the way to do it. This is actually the humane way to do it. You don't really know. And then on Truman's part, I will vaguely say, like, he made a ghoulish decision, but he was still not.
What?
And at least there's that. Like, he at least was.
What does
It
she-
was very
What?
complicated for him.
Yes, it was.
I guarantee you they did the hip hip hooray.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hip hip
Well,
hooray!
Because
That's
we
just how
won. We knew.
did they? Are we at war? Huh. Yeah, I'd like to read about this. That's not good. I mean, it's good, but it's not good. Well, yeah. Oh, I guess I'm screaming into my freaking stream. Sorry, guys. Apparently, Ukraine just got inducted into NATO, so that's interesting. Oh, there's a guy there. Oh, shit. Oh, wow, you really didn't... Okay, fair enough.
In that moment that we had won the war, but
Well,
But
that's
Henry, what did we win?
it's not good for nothing. That's for certain.
Well, one thing that
Ow,
he
ow,
could have
ow.
done is that, I mean, well, the thing is that he set the tone. Truman set the tone for everybody else,
Oh,
and the
shit.
press set
Yeah,
the tone,
that's
and the
it.
tone was one of jubilation.
Yeah.
Right.
And that, of course, informed the way that America thought of the atomic bomb from then on. The next day, the White House released a press statement to the world revealing that we dropped the biggest bomb in history on the city of Hiroshima, although the statement made a point to call Hiroshima a quote-unquote important army base. They didn't call it a city.
No.
Furthermore, the onus for the dropping of the bomb was placed on Japan for bombing Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
Because as I said in the first episode, America tends to excel at the act of overcorrecting, then telling the civilians they kill in the process that you made us do this.
Yeah, it's like that stupid slap competition, but with like a little person who slaps like freaking Andre the Giant or something.
Yeah, 'cause,
and
like,
then
that
he's
was the
like
thing.
Andre's like, I'm gonna have to slap you back, and it's like one is bigger than the other.
Yeah,
We
you
also-
don't have to slap him back, Andre.
Unslap you do.
Unslap you do. Yeah.
Literally, the name of the
unslap.
show is Slap.
Yeah,
This is
I know
fucking
for a
the
fact
dumbest
that-
goddamn thing of all time.
But we know that Pearl Harbor happened
he
because, you know, FDR, we got the call that it was going to happen right before he was doing his hurdles practice.
Oh, you
And that was actually, and that's why it went out of his mind. So it's like he was like, ugh. And then afterwards, it was like, oh yeah, that's right, I can walk.
It's also so stupid. Oh, another FDR joke. Even though we're with Harry Truman now.
Yeah, but still, he's not letting it go.
No, he's not letting it go. He's not letting it go.
It's a running thing.
Yes, indeed. And Harry Truman, of course, with the hurdles, he went under them because he's a stupid person.
Yeah.
Nobody's safe.
Nobody is safe. Got you, Truman. I wish Dewey would have won.
And that's not to say that Pearl Harbor wasn't bad. Of course, it was
Yeah, of
bad.
course.
A
All
lot-
these things are bad.
All these things
we
are
are
bad.
in a world of sloughing. Everything is bad.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that you don't need to overcorrect and destroy two cities and murder hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians as revenge.
Hi,
and you
hello,
don't need to
welcome.
say you did this to yourself.
Hi, hello, welcome to the International House of Sloughing. Do you want a bowl? Do you want ears or you want eyeball gunk?
Man, I just really wish that you guys had ham steak.
Yeah, we do, but it's baby.
So bad. All right.
Come on.
There you go.
I white flag.
Oh. Well, the statement then went on to reveal that this was indeed an atomic bomb and that we'd built it only because the Germans had been working on an atomic bomb of their own.
Sure.
We, however, had won the so-called Battle of the Laboratories, just as we'd won battles on land, air, and sea. Finally, the statement ended with a direct plea to the leadership in Japan. Either accept the unconditional surrender terms outlined in the Potsdam Declaration, or expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth.
Is there a number 3?
Yeah, is there another frickin' option?
Yeah, there was. There was a number 3, a number 4, all the way up till probably number 7. There were a lot of different fucking options.
Yeah, we said that we
Yeah.
definitely had, because then, you know, we're following up immediately. And at this point, we're telling them, you know, now that we know that one works, we can make 7 of these a day.
Yeah. Now, even a day later, the Japanese government wasn't entirely in agreement that an atomic bomb had in fact been dropped on Hiroshima. From what they thought, the Americans, they're fucking crazy, but they're not crazy enough to bring such an unstable weapon across the Pacific.
They would never do that.
They'd never do that.
And they would never bring it on a boat that would then crash, and then everybody in that boat would then be fucking raped to death or
shit.
fucking eaten by sharks. you
U.S.
know?
Indianapolis.
Yeah,
the
that's
one map I'll back out
But
of.
that's the thing, is that they were only partly right on that, because we didn't fully assemble the bomb until right before the bomb bay doors opened.
Yeah. We brought the uranium and the plutonium across the wall.
Right.
Showing further arrogance, Japan refused to acknowledge that America was advanced enough to actually build an atomic bomb, which again shows that even at the end of the fucking war, the Japanese government still completely misunderstood America. They misunderstood our ingenuity,
One sec,
our
sorry,
capacity for
$600.
vengeance, our near unlimited resources. They just didn't fucking get it.
Hey, man, British local yokels can do a lot when they're left to their own devices.
But I also feel they believed in the power of the empire.
Yeah.
Again, Supernova in the East really shows a little bit more about that mentality.
Yeah.
That they really did believe that no one could beat them.
Yeah, but at
You know,
this
so
point,
this can't be real because that would mean that they have unequivocally
Yeah.
squashed us.
I
Yes.
totally understand.
Yes.
It's a shock.
But
It's a shock.
But at this point, within the
buddy
Japanese
of
government,
mine,
there is a
he's,
huge tug of war
pretty
going on
pissed
between
off
the
at the
people
shop
who
he's
believe
at,
that
so-
and the
So it's
reasonable
like,
human
hey, you guys
beings
hired?
who are
Like, we
Yeah,
must
no,
figure
it's
this
fine.
shit out right now.
yeah, that are just saying like,
where
hey,
was it?
we were beat 6 months ago.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need to fucking do this shit. Like that, you need to enter the real world. The emperor is not a god.
Yeah.
And that's why here on MTV's Real World, we've brought together a series of different people from
Let 'em go.
Japan,
I wanna see-
Uh-huh.
Nagasaki, and Hiroshima, and we brought the troops that dropped the bomb.
Oh.
When 7 strangers live in a house, and 3 of those strangers
and start getting real.
Yeah.
Are they able to make a silkscreen T-shirt business work on Venice Beach? We'll figure it out.
You killed my family. Yeah.
You guys all, welcome to the house. You guys got all you a job at the International House of Slaughter.
I thought one of the grossest things that Tom did was eat his peanut butter with his fingers because his fingers are all burnt.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Well,
Wait the white flag. Wait the comedian
I'm a
flag.
comedian.
Wait.
Oh, today, that's the nice thing about wearing many hats.
Yeah, put that one on.
Rise from your grave.
But after sending out their navy and army to investigate the ruins of Hiroshima, there was no doubt whatsoever that the United States had perfected the atomic bomb and had used it on the people of Japan. They could not argue.
And we haven't even perfected it then yet.
And
well,
so
now it's
Platinum Call of Duty.
And so did the modern age begin.
yes.
The very next day, that conclusion was confirmed worldwide when the atomic bomb, and by extension the Manhattan Project, was announced to the world
my
on
God,
no
where'd
less
my
than the
team
front
go?
page of the New York Times. The headline read,
First atomic bomb dropped on Japan. Missile is equal to 20,000 tons of TNT. Truman warns foe of rain of ruin.
Wow,
Yeah.
there you go. Good unbiased reporting.
Yep. In the ensuing story, the Times spilled the guts of the entire Manhattan Project. They identified General Leslie Groves as the head.
And we got Leslie.
God, what a
Groves
sweaty
holding
week
it
of
up.
Call of Duty.
I'm assuming
The
Groves
Saturday Night Live
so
like
disgusting. That's a lot.
Leslie Groves.
Did he like?
Richard Feynman.
I'm the goofy one.
I wonder if he liked that because he was a pretty quiet guy.
No,
Wasn't
they
he?
wanted the credit, man.
They
He
wanted
did
the
2
credit. Oh, they
years
loved
of
it.
work.
Wanted it?
They
Okay.
loved it. No.
So they were the ones giving all the info to the New York Times.
Well, I mean, they just had his
Probably.
statement ready to go.
Gotcha,
you know, like
gotcha.
this was straight from the this
Yeah.
is from the government saying, telling the New York Times, like, tell everybody in the fucking world what we just accomplished
Oh, holy
because
shit.
it's fucking awesome.
And
Just
we spent a fuck
launched
ton of
my
money,
nose.
and we just killed 100,000 people.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of it because now it's
Yeah.
the rush of we must prove that we are still the good guys.
Yes, exactly.
It is-
All
what
right.
is unique is we dropped a
I'm
bomb
in
and
my
it was still like,
meditative
we better get
pause.
this to the printing
I think I'm
press.
gonna have to take a
Now,
break
what
and play
the
some Overwatch with the
American
kid.
PR
a bit.
machine
What time is it?
kicked in.
But also it's old
Yeah,
tech
I think
meets
I've played
the
enough
new
Call of
world
Duty for
Yeah,
one
in real
rotation.
time.
Modern age begins.
Yes,
we,
true.
This
Yeah.
was
Ah,
very
shit, I hate
strange how
this
it did.
setup.
Yeah, they put Oppenheimer up as the hero, the brains behind the
Oh, you know
bomb.
what?
They
Run,
revealed
run. Oh shit!
Yeah, I did
Oh,
all
I
that.
just
Sad
saw
about
that
it.
dude.
Where's my communist girl?
Why am I so
Oh,
dumb?
it's okay, Oppenheimer.
They revealed the cities of Hanford, Oak Ridge, Los Alamos, these locations that have been kept top secret.
can't suck 3 times
they
in a row,
laid
right?
the entire thing out. However, the story was not a
What?
full blowjob.
This is back when reporters
Where
did
did
things.
all the hit
Yeah,
markers go?
And there were certainly quite a few Americans, both public and
I don't
private, who saw the
understand.
terror of
They
the
shot
atomic
him lots
bomb
in the
for
face.
what it was before even hearing about what really went down in Hiroshima. In the New York Times article, after they outlined the Trinity
this, like,
test, they asked whether the bomb
smart or
might be
what?
either the salvation of mankind
No, because that
or the
guy will come that way
Frankenstein's
and kill
monster
me.
of the world.
Was this like here where they're asked like Humphrey Bogart that, and he's just like, I only know about slapping women and smoke.
Yes. But did it not also lead
Jesus.
to the hot pocket?
I believe the
The
microwave
microwave.
might be a different. You know what? I don't.
We don't know.
That
We don't
sounds
know.
We'll
wrong.
never
scared
know.
me.
It
We'll never
sounds wrong, but I
Come
don't
on,
know
step
enough
into the
about
murder
microwaves to
alley.
dispute you.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Called the gray area.
Yes, indeed.
Just live
Do
it,
it,
love
you
Both of those things are true,
Wagner
though.
slut.
Both of those.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Frankenstein's
yes.
monster of
Oh,
the world.
yes.
Then
It's all real.
Yes.
Remember, part
I
of
would
this
say
was
it's
like
all
that?
mankind, though.
Well, no, the
Well,
scientists
you like
were
that?
saying, which is the truth, which is like we
tough
could
to
have
say.
Bing,
first
bong
used this as
in
a
the head
nuclear
hole.
reactor and made free energy, and we could have like made
Oh, here
energy
we go.
that could have
Here
fed
comes
the
my
world in a
comeuppance.
mass quantity if we wanted to have
We
done
still
it like
will. We will end up doing that because I think people are going to realize electric is very difficult as well.
I hope
Oh,
it's on
you
the
fucking
goddamn
looked away
moon.
for a second.
Put
Nuclear
nuclear
power?
reactors
Why
on
am
the
I-
goddamn
what is-
moon,
what?
and
What are
then
you
you
gonna
bring
pay?
the energy cells back
That's
and
not
forth like it's
anything.
fucking what's the game that KB used to play?
Oh no, I knocked
StarCraft?
the
Yes.
pool thing,
Yeah.
Oh, that
pool
would
noodle
be
off.
fun.
Fuck.
Yeah, that would be super fun.
Thanks.
Yeah, because then
Oh,
we
I
could
just
just
put
fill
both
the
my feet
moon
here.
with
Oh, I
all the
never even thought
nuclear
about
waste.
That easy. No, we take the nuclear waste and
Yeah.
we shoot it away from the moon
See,
out into space.
I feel like that's going to backfire on us, though.
no way.
No way.
I've
No
never
way.
seen countless movies
No way, they
and
just-
read countless books that
We'll
have
put
said
it-
about the same exact subject.
We got to put it in one of those black holes. They're saying there's a hum. And it's
Huh.
coming from two black
no,
holes.
think about it. We shoot into a black hole.
Yeah, perfect.
That's fun.
There's no way that's gonna pop out somewhere else.
No, not at all.
But it has led truly to some peace.
No, it just led to proxy wars.
Fuck.
No, but Israel
I got paranoid.
would have killed
Peaceful.
each other.
But proxy wars are peaceful because they're not wars.
Yeah, they're proxy wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not, and it's not yet, because that's the thing. It totally ended any and all land wars in Europe. We haven't had one of those since.
Proxy wars are essentially the vaping to the real wars of smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, basically.
It's all
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, but yeah,
It's still gonna kill you.
land wars in Europe. We don't have those
I would say
anymore,
the
right?
U.S. and
Okay, I
Russia,
guess we're going
Soviet
this way,
Union, and the,
'cause I
and the
feel
U.S. would have
that's
had a land
where the
war
rotation
without
is.
them.
You think
Yeah,
so?
maybe.
Without a doubt.
Technically, would
What
have
else would
probably
we
been. Probably. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's when
But you're right.
technically that's when you send in Guy Fieri.
Oh, saves.
He's the one who
Yeah, he
brings
really
up
does.
brings them. They don't have chicken and waffles.
You guys, what didn't Metallica say? To secure peace, you have to prepare for war.
That is what Metallica
Or is
said.
That was about group therapy.
Oh my God!
That was
I
about
know.
him and Lars.
I just wish that they were different people.
We know.
Now, even before Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima, the military had decided, without
you
President Truman's
sneaky
consent, that the
sneakster.
Fat Man plutonium bomb would be dropped on another city if the Japanese didn't immediately respond with an unconditional surrender. The way the military saw it, they'd been handed a new weapon. And this new weapon's just like any other. Do I fucking call up the president when I want to drop another bomb? No, I don't. Why am I going to consult him on this?
Because it did. I was reading about this because I was talking about it with Eddie, and he was like, "Who ordered the second bombing?" And I realized like there was just a caveat in his order to release the first bomb that like essentially if you don't immediately surrender, we're just gonna keep doing it. And
Yeah.
so everyone just went like, "Well, we got permission."
Right. So do it as many times as you want.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, in a lame attempt to prevent the loss of more innocent life, the U.S. War Office dropped millions of leaflets all over Japan telling them that America was in possession of the most destructive weapon ever devised by man, and that they should take steps to cease military resistance.
So this is like an alcoholic father going out, but before he goes out, he'd be like, "Just so you know, you better be in bed before you get home. I'm coming home drunk as shit."
Yes. Honestly, I would appreciate it to come
Yeah,
on
just a little heads up. I'm gonna be really abusive tonight.
The problem with this, though, is that by Japanese law, citizens weren't allowed to read
Oh,
or
hi.
discuss
Oh, I'm not
leaflets
high.
dropped from the sky, and they faced arrest, serious penalties, if they didn't immediately hand these leaflets over to local police. And so, on August 8th, just 2 days after Hiroshima, the Fat Man bomb was fully assembled with its plutonium core and was thereafter loaded into a far less famous B-29 called Boxcar at around 10 p.m.
Now, I found a little article that was talking about the bombing of Nagasaki, and it was this little thing that felt like so, Dan Carlin-y in its like irony, and then how it portrays
Sure.
itself
Well,
to the
I guess
rest
we're
of
on this one now.
American history, which was on the front of the Nagasaki bomb on Fat Boy. What they did was they wrote an acronym
Yeah.
on it. So everybody signs a bomb. So when everybody puts it together, they all did like cheeky
sign the
things.
bomb,
So they wrote,
yeah.
like, here's to you, a
Yeah.
second kiss for Hirohito, like weird,
yeah.
like cheeky. And on the nose, they had an acronym, JANKFU, which stood for Joint Army Navy Civilian Fuck Up, which was on the front of this thing.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it seems that that's kind of how we would treat the world from then on. Like this idea of we spread it around everywhere now. Don't worry, now this is like with this little thing, this Fat Boy thing it's a symbol for our foreign policy from then
Yes, definitely the era of interventionalism
on.
has begun.
Don't you make us fuck you up.
Yeah. But at the very same time that Fat Man was being loaded into boxcars bomb bay, the Soviet Union, still an uneasy ally of America, they declared war on Japan and invaded the Japanese-controlled region of China known as Manchuria. The Soviets, however, had their own motives for invading, which came more into focus during the Korean War, but we're not going to get into that.
We
Let's
should
just say,
cover that. This is my grandfather's war. I also found out my American grandfather.
Yeah. The Korean War is extraordinarily complicated. I've been learning about it recently, and there's a lot of ins and outs on that.
Yeah,
one.
it seems complicated.
You'll love it. You'll like to do that research.
You'll like it.
But regardless of the future, Japan was well and truly fucked from all sides, and they knew it, although they were still dragging their feet towards surrender. But because they didn't hop to it, another one of their cities would fall victim to the atomic bomb. That was the city of Nagasaki. Now, one of the first things that we noticed upon starting research for this series was that while there are hundreds of resources concerning the bombing of Hiroshima, Nagasaki is treated almost as a footnote.
Yeah, it's like, and we did Nagasaki.
And Nagasaki,
Yeah, it's like the second dream team.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah,
Everyone
double
remembers the
one.
92 one. After
yeah.
that, everyone's like, yeah, we know.
Well, partly I think this is due to the fact that it's more of the same. Sloughing, swelling, scorching. But I also think it's a little more complicated than that, and the reasons are both Japanese and American. First of all, while the Nagasaki death toll is still incredibly high, the bombing itself was nowhere near as smooth and successful as the so-called perfect bombing of Hiroshima.
That's a
Jesus,
big
no
one.
long
And that's
shots,
like
eh?
the American thing. We don't want anybody really see this kind of series of goof-em-ups that
Yeah.
led to the Nagasaki bombing, because again, the Hiroshima
What?
bombing was like these.
Oh, I was
guys
like, what?
are doing
I
their
don't
job
get
and
it.
then nailed it. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everybody, they crushed it. This one's like they had a lot of fuck-ups.
Yeah.
It's like the curse of everyone that's done stand-up comedy for 30 years because the first set they really did well.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
then
it.
the
That's
next
life.
29 and a half years is just miserable.
One day I'll get back on that stage and I love it.
Now, Nagasaki wasn't the first choice for the second bomb. In fact, Nagasaki was the fourth choice,
Oh, it's cool.
considered so lightly that in the list for potential targets for a second bomb, someone had written "and Nagasaki" in the margins the day before the nuclear strike was finalized.
That's how I was picked for the baseball team.
Oh, and Zabrowski.
Now, Nagasaki had already been bombed 5 times prior to August of 1945. It was bombed so often, in fact, that one student remembered that he'd been taught to plug his ears with his thumbs and cover his eyes with his fingers because a bomb's concussive force might burst his eardrums
hear
and pop
about
his eyeballs out of his skull.
Ukraine
No
joining,
drama
huh?
there at all.
Yeah.
No.
But because Nagasaki had already been bombed, it was not considered a high priority target for showing the bomb's full destructive force, because remember, that was the whole fucking point.
El
So the people of
Asilo.
Nagasaki, as well as the rest of Japan, they'd kind of sort of been told on August 8th what had happened in Hiroshima on August 7th. This announcement, however, was like none ever released by the Japanese government. While past releases might admit a defeat, those defeats were always soft-pedaled. There were still plenty of people in Japan at this point that thought that Japan was winning the war. With Hiroshima, though, the Japanese government admitted that, quote-unquote, considerable damage had been perpetrated by a new weapon. And considerable damage was far more than any admission the Japanese government had made up till this point.
It's always the people. It's always the people that suffer.
Oh yeah.
My God, just stop this.
Additionally, a well-respected figure in
Oh, this
Nagasaki's
map. Love this
medical
map.
establishment
This.
had passed through
This is great.
Hiroshima after the bombing on his way home from
Oh,
Tokyo.
I forgot I don't have a pool noodle there. That
Immediately
hurts.
upon returning to Nagasaki, this man got
Actually,
on the
let's
radio
go
and told
here.
everyone about the burned bodies, the fire,
Don't shoot
the
me.
flash, everything. And he also said, no air raid shelter is going to protect
off.
you from this. We need to leave.
Uh-oh.
As a result, the local government
I don't like
ordered
it.
a meeting the next morning to discuss how they might be able to handle a citywide evacuation.
Fucker.
Because that's no small feat. You can't just snap your fingers and say, go. Tragically,
Do it,
All
but
that
just
means is
don't
being
do it
banned.
how I do it,
Batman
man.
is
Please
already on
don't.
its way.
Let me know if the audio is like way
puffing
too
and puffing.
overpowering. and you just
Honestly,
listen to
you know,
the
if you're a
podcast
restaurateur,
on Hiroshima.
you're really happy.
actually.
Yeah.
Why?
I was actually.
I mean, if the real fat
let
man
me
was
put the
coming
mic
to
back in
restaurant,
my
face,
when,
too.
when me,
Oh,
Eddie,
fuck.
and Kissel roll up,
Oh,
I
I
know
know
it's about to be a
$300
yeah.
But yeah, no,
You find
actually,
it we'll
that's
have
for
to
sure.
eat light because we're forced to by a doctor now.
Yeah, that's
no,
true.
what's going on with all
There
that?
we go.
These doctors.
That's a little better, I think.
These things were fucking-
But,
I just sat there with their stethoscope on and fucking-
Yeah, no, the shop that I'm at's great. I love it. It's
They should
I
put
could
that
put a
on
word in
staff.
for you if you want. I don't know if they're hiring right this second, but they might. Depend. I still see when I get back to see because one guy we let go because he was an idiot, and then we have another guy that's kind of like
I don't.
a part timer, if you will. He's kind of never around, and he's a little whatever. But other than that, it's-
She was
oh,
carrying
shit,
her
hold on.
Now, oh, you know what? I'm getting into my
Why
Arnie
the
zone.
fuck?
Your Arnie zone?
Yes, because when Henry says
I wish I could like see if you're still here. If I'm not just talking to myself.
Wilford
Oh.
Brimley is notoriously fat.
Oh,
And
there
I
we go.
don't want to live in a world where you're going to try to say that he was not.
Yeah, and I'm gonna.
He should have never went to Nagasaki.
I'm with you on the Arnold thing, Henry, but I'm with Ben on the Wilford Brimley.
See, this is why we all. This is why it works.
Wow, I'm terrible at this game. I don't know what the hell that was. I know I'm a little fucking terrible, but oh, 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 oh.
Leaflets informing the people of Nagasaki.
Ah,
Bomb.
too soon.
The leaflets fell
That's fine.
with
Oh wait,
the bomb.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just so you know, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Hey, what's all this? Oh shit.
aw,
In the
from where?
pre-tragedy
Oh, right there.
realm,
Shit,
9
good shot, dude.
residents of Nagasaki
Good
who
shot,
survived the bombing of
bro.
Hiroshima had actually made their way
no.
back to Nagasaki before the second.
Oh yeah, I literally have everything gold except the RPG, which I'm just doing like passively.
You wonder, is it me?
This is just
What the fuck?
This is just like.
One
Oh, no.
man in particular
damn
had
it.
dug through the ruins of his Hiroshima home to retrieve the bones of his wife. And he was walking through the streets of Nagasaki, carrying his wife's remains in a wash basin so he could give the remains to her parents when Fat Man detonated.
He's just trying to make people sad.
Jesus.
Again, once in human history.
Yeah.
This story.
Oh, la, la, la. Oh my God, that guy really had it out for me.
Bomb, little boy
Mr.
killed
Ironsides
twice the
too.
number of
Holy
people,
moly.
and the destruction radius had been 3 times as large. This was because the hills surrounding Nagasaki absorbed the
Why
burden
do these
of
guns
the
like
bomb's
suck
blast,
now?
resulting in 40,000
Oh, that was a real long shot then. That's why.
That was another
I'm
reason
shooting
why
real
Nagasaki was a
long.
poor target. They knew that was gonna happen.
It had already been bombed a bunch.
Yeah.
And they'd already like it was kind of all jacked up, and we'll also see there was
Where
like
are we?
also the actual physical problems.
Yeah, the entire operation had been troubled from the start. The original target had been the city of Kokura, which was a site of a massive Imperial Army arsenal. Bad weather and miscommunication, however, dogged the crew.
Sorry for the
across
riveting
at every
gameplay of me
turn, as
camping,
well
but I need
as
long shot
equipment
kills.
fuck-ups, there was fuel pump
Well,
problems.
apparently I also heard that they
Okay,
got so
let's
used to
move
air
up, I
raids that
guess. I
the
don't
one
see
thing that
nobody.
they would do one defensive maneuver
People are still
was
dying. I don't see
back
nobody.
ways
So
would pump out steam, and that they would do a cover. Like
Yeah.
so, they said when they got to Kokura, there was a cover, and there's like kind of talk about whether or not it was
Already.
weather, or whether or not they literally had like hid themselves.
Some of the guys who worked on the
okay,
factory
let's
claimed
look
that
at
that's
it.
what they
I
did.
don't know.
Yeah, the government should be given the contract to make that plane to Ocean Gate.
Current.
Ocean Gate.
Current.
Current.
Pun.
I don't I don't understand.
This is why, Marcus, you are so
It's
unbelievably in
submarine
history's
that-
asshole.
He's just
You don't
saying-
know anything about it. This is the strangest part where I do shine.
Do I get it?
That
You don't know-
collapse, he is equating the problems
Do
of
I get it?
B-29 delivering boxcar, delivering
I deserve
the
it.
problems of the Ocean Gate.
So many bullets, man.
Currently had its fatal impact.
It's called
Darn.
Titan.
Ocean Gate's the company. See, he's doing the thing like where I always
100-point assist. Did I read that correctly? That's a kill. 100 points is a kill.
There was like a political scandal involving
What
the
is
ocean,
nonsense?
And you were calling it
This
Ocean
is
Gate.
hacks. Hack nonsense.
That's a whole other episode. About
Dude, let me shoot you.
sponge.
I hate
Marcus,
you.
why don't you just give me the script? I'll take over from
Let
here.
him look at it.
Yeah, let
Yo,
him-
fuck. Okay, I'm moving on.
I've been meaning to say this.
Well, Boxcar was on its way to the city of Kokoro, but they had to land on the small island of Yakushima to wait for its observation plane. Call sign, Big Stink.
Yeah, I got that big sticky plane. Oh, you need a big sticky plane? That's what I got.
I mean, it
I
is.
rub shit on it. Yeah, big stick.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
He didn't like the name.
The pilot of Big Stink, however, was of a
Sad
superior
face.
rank to Boxcar's pilot. So after getting indignant
Oh,
over
God damn
an
it.
order that he didn't agree with, Big Stink just refused to show up.
So Big Stink made a big stink.
That's why we called you Big Stink.
Yeah,
Big
exactly.
Stink.
And you just,
Are you making
Ah.
Therefore, while Boxcar was waiting to take off, bad weather
Dude.
closed in over Kokoro, and
What?
Boxcar burned a lot
confused.
of fuel circling the city, waiting
Where'd
for
Magic
the
Man go?
clouds.
Magic. Oh, he died.
Additionally, Japanese fighter planes were climbing towards Boxcar,
Oh.
and anti-aircraft fire from the ground was getting heavy, so it was on
Is that
to the
how
next
many?
target.
No.
Nagasaki.
And that was not far enough. Man, they're not.
Nagasaki,
They're
of course,
stingy.
whether it was
They're
full
stingy
or
with
less,
this
Nagasaki
long
was
shot
where they
crap.
could get to with as much because they had to do calculation. We have to have enough fuel to get to Nagasaki and then from Nagasaki back to base.
They said they had the Bomber's Journal, and he wrote on things being like closing in on 2 hours of fuel. I wonder if the Pacific.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
These guys did not think they were going to make it back.
They need something
Hmm.
They really did.
Nagasaki, however, was also covered in clouds. But Boxcar didn't have enough fuel to return to base with a 9,000-pound bomb aboard. They had to drop it somewhere.
so
Oh.
human, isn't it?
With the Fat Man was safer to drop wild than the little boy was.
Yeah.
So they had a plan to ditch the Fat Man,
Okay.
which is the little.
Yeah. But just as the pilot decided to just drop Fat Man via radar on Nagasaki, come what may, the clouds broke and Bombardier Captain Kermit Behan let her rip.
Oh, bro, you do me a
Names
favor.
used to be named.
They really did.
Can you go turn the
throw
fan
an
off?
old Kirby there.
I'm just
You know,
streaming
Teddy
right now.
Roosevelt had a son named Kermit. He got killed in World
Oh
War
my
I.
God, there's a
Isn't
level
that
7 guy on the other
something?
team.
Yep.
Poor
Yeah,
guy.
and Teddy was very happy about that.
He got
Teddy
set
was,
on fire because he
Hmm.
was completely made of felt.
Oh, isn't that too bad?
Teddy was extraordinarily broken over the death of his son.
And he was like,
Kermit.
a very high voice.
Yeah, he's never gonna marry that pig woman now. It's some up to me to have sex with her. That's what I would do if I ever had a kid that died young. And I'd be like,
Now your wife, I know.
yeah, it's up to me to have sex with her.
Be the Benola Gay. Remember me? I saved the war. Now you're my wife. You should be my daughter.
In-law.
Well, the boxcar crew was 3/4 of a mile off.
Oh,
And
no.
that actually saved tens of thousands of lives. But
Oh,
again,
I can just turn the
40,000
lights on the
died in an
table.
instant,
Just press the
and a
middle
lot of
button.
The same shit that happened in Hiroshima happened in
On the
Nagasaki.
black
just
rectangle thing.
Not quite as
You
bad.
just like touch it
But
and then press it.
horrible.
There you go.
Yeah.
If, like,
Perfect.
If the big boy
Thank you,
there
sir.
was the only bomb dropped, people would
Why are you
think
still
this
here?
is
We would be
horrible.
told
I
to
can't.
do
Well,
what we
actually, I
just
can.
did for
I guess I can
Hiroshima, we
click
would be
on
doing that.
users,
Yeah,
right?
but Boxcar made
You
it
are
back
not
to
still
Tinian. They
here.
landed with less than a
Dun,
minute's
dun, dun,
worth of fuel.
dun.
Like, if they would have been up there for a
Jesus.
minute longer, they would have crashed.
Man, that reminds me of Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah,
But
does
when-
it?
It's very
Shoot
time-based. Those time-based games are stressful.
No, they are
Oh
very
yeah,
heavy.
actually, this is a good
But
spot for
Boxcar, when they
headshots.
landed, they found
Or for
absolutely no
long shots.
fanfare, as opposed to the heroes
Especially with
welcomes
10
experienced by the
players.
crew
Holy
of
mo-
the
20
Enola Gay.
players.
Basically, the news
Hmm.
of the Hiroshima bombing made the whole world both. Yes, we celebrated, but immediately
That's
the
crazy,
whole
man.
world
It's
was
all
like,
play. There's like
Yeah.
3 guys on
What?
computer.
And
4,
so
5.
it
I guess
was at
that's
first,
fine. 5
we
out of
couldn't
20.
party
It's-
too hard because now we have to show the
Hmm.
unbearable responsibility of these weapons.
Well-
but it took a day for that to change.
Right.
But now they're like, when they showed up, it immediately was just like, okay, well, great, good work, guys. Let's get back. But because Truman was not happy that when he found out, I guess from the news.
It
Well-
really is a pretty big operation not to tell the president about.
I mean, it was a half-assed job. That might partly be the reason why America doesn't talk about it a lot. And it's an embarrassment because President Truman did not order this, nor was he
Yeah,
even
keep it
aware of
balanced,
the
I
bombing
guess.
until after it happened. It was at this point that we put in the rule that says presidents have to authorize nuclear strikes.
And isn't that funny now how the presidents just go to war without Congress?
Yeah.
They can. We figured that out. Yeah.
Yeah, they chose to.
They really they figured that out.
Yeah. But even so, preparations were being taken on the island of Tinian for more nuclear strikes.
Yep.
And the scientists at Los Alamos were hard at
Ooh,
work
it is a long
producing
shot.
another
Oh,
plutonium
handy
bomb
dandy.
that would be done by the end of August. In fact, it's believed that the only reason why Japan escaped a third atomic bomb was because we'd already dropped all the bombs we had.
Yeah, we dropped the full finished ones.
Yeah, we dropped the full finished ones. Even more ghoulish was the gung-ho spirit of Paul Tibbets, who had been the pilot that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. He had volunteered to drop the next bomb.
Really? Oh, you get him. I was gonna say that's
And the next.
nonsense.
He was
Shot him
prepared to
right in the
drop as many
brain.
bombs on Japan as it took to get them to surrender.
There might be a couple of different nuances when he speaks that aren't currently allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see him being kind of bleeped or just like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Now, dropping a bunch of bombs on Japan was certainly a possibility because while Los Alamos was going to take until the end of August for a third bomb, Fat Men 4 through 6 would be done by September. And by
That's
this,
fat men.
yeah, that's what I said. Fat Men.
Fat Men.
Fat Men 4 through 6. I guess it would be Fat Man 4 through 6.
Fat Man 4 through 6. I would say that.
Yeah, because you don't say like Die Hards 4 and 5.
Unless you're my mother.
Yeah, you do.
No.
Yeah, Die Hard's 4 and 5.
No, you say Die Hard.
Boo.
It depends on how you want to go.
You say
smoke me
either
out.
do proper English or
Yeah.
or you don't.
Yeah.
No, it depends.
Oh.
If you're saying Die Hard's fourth film had better boobs than Die Hard 1.
Everyone is just pulling their cars into oncoming traffic. Everybody is just
If
slamming
Die
their
Hard-
laptop
if
shut.
Die
They're
Hard
literally
owns
they're
four,
deleting the podcast.
I
They're
would
like hours of
something to
work,
do with that little- that
years
thing.
of doing a show.
You would say
that's
the
cool.
the Die Hards franchise.
Rob
Yes.
has just moved from
There you
New
go.
York to Los Angeles to edit this episode.
Yes, indeed.
But perhaps a bigger reason why neither America nor Japan is eager to discuss the bombing of Nagasaki is because while Hiroshima was entirely unnecessary, Nagasaki
Oh, I didn't
was
get it.
even more so.
Yeah, it is definitely this is, how do I say this? I can put myself in history shoes.
Yes.
And talk about,
Not
think
yes.
about Hiroshima
Yes.
and kind of vaguely understand the whys and the hows and how we got to this place. But Nagasaki is the thing of like, this is where we entered into, now we're a bullet. Now we are,
Right.
we're just doing this to set the tone for the next one.
Ah, shit.
It was done with all of the gravitas of fuck it, let's do it again.
And that's the thing, it just went right out the it was very corporate almost. It just went out the door.
Yeah. Just
Damn
as
it.
The Fat Man bomb
Don't know how I didn't
on
get that guy.
Nagasaki,
Yeah.
Japan's Supreme Council for the direction of the war, the so-called Big Six, they were arguing over the best way to surrender. In fact, the decision to seek peace had been made 6 weeks before Hiroshima.
Oh, man.
But the Big Six couldn't agree on conditions.
Fuck!
But really, the biggest tragedy here
Can't believe I
is
just
that it
let those
wasn't
guys walk
necessarily
past me.
The atomic bombs that made the Japanese surrender, or at least it wasn't the biggest reason. Now, not every historian agrees on this theory, but I do.
For real?
Some that it was fear of a full Soviet invasion on the Japanese mainland
Oh my
and
God.
the eventual communist rule that drove the Japanese into the arms of the Americans. Truly, it was the Soviet Union invading that really popped them out of their fucking dream. That means that Nagasaki had
Really?
no
That's not
effect
long. Okay.
whatsoever on Japan's
I would've
decision
bet.
to surrender, and we rained hellfire on tens of thousands of people
damn.
for no reason at all.
I mean, it does just show you how unlikable the Russians are. Because they were like, yeah, these guys bombed us twice, but they
But at
couldn't
least
try
they got like,
cheesecake.
yeah, they're gonna invent video games.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
cool.
we're
Actually,
gonna.
I think the
The
Japanese
Japanese
will.
See what I mean?
No, the
Like,
Russians-
we'll buy it,
you'll buy it,
we'll
yeah,
buy it.
you'll buy it.
Yeah, Tetris was it, but that was a Tetris. You
They
should-
literally were
you
like, they
should-
have Elvis Presley. You know what I mean? Like, they have
there you
like,
go. Now
they're
you-
like fun over there. You know?
But either way, when the Japanese came with surrender terms, Secretary of War Henry Stimson agreed to leave the emperor on the throne just long enough for him to order the surrender of the Japanese armies. because Stimson knew that Emperor Hirohito was
Fuck!
going to be the only
Ah.
guy that those armies listened to.
Trying to get that spot.
Stimson's reasoning was that it was in America's best interest to plant our flag on the Japanese homeland as soon as we could. We had to get there before the Soviets
No,
even came
that's
close,
right.
because we wanted to avoid another
Platinum.
sharing situation like we had.
Another
in
platinum.
Germany. And that's if we didn't lose Japan to the Soviets completely.
And then also, we got the atomic bomb.
Oh, whoops.
And we're in your
Oops,
backyard.
oops,
Now we're
oopsie.
here.
We're here, yes. And so,
There we
on
go.
August 15th, 1945, Japan accepted
Excelente.
the
Let's
Potsdam
go. Now this one's
Declaration.
gonna be a tricky, I
Emperor
think.
Hirohito
Ow.
broadcasted an address telling the people of
I think the
Japan
gig's
and
up.
his armies to stand down because, quote, the war situation has developed not necessarily to Japan's advantage.
Oh shit.
That was
Still
the
a
best-
politician.
Yeah.
It's just
Not
not necessarily.
I had a dream
Yeah.
that maybe we might want to think about stuffing this.
Maybe.
A little over 2 weeks later, Emperor Hirohito signed the document surrendering to America, and on September 2nd, 1945, World War II officially
Really?
ended.
Yay!
That, however, is not where our story ends.
No,
For we shall return next week for the conclusion to our series on the Manhattan Project, with the long-term effects of radiation poisoning,
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last talk.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
Are you guys on? What's it called? Twatch?
Joe Threads.
yeah, Twatch. No. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do it, but I don't think I will.
In an interesting synchronicity, Threads, which debuted
Yes.
today. Threads debuted today. Of course, it's the whole like Instagram thing. Threads is also the name of a movie in which nuclear bombs destroy England, and it's
Yeah.
about the consequences of nuclear warfare.
And that is actually just as destructive as social media.
Synchronicity.
It really is.
Let's hope that's the farthest it goes.
Well, I don't think so.
Yeah, Threads. That's because that's a good synchronicity. You know what's also strange? 3 days ago, 3 days ago, July 3rd, 1947, is the anniversary of the Roswell incident.
Oh.
Well, how is that a synchronicity with the Manhattan Project?
I'm just saying, you'll
gonna
see.
get into it.
You'll see.
We're gonna get into
But I
it.
want to talk about the real problem of the Manhattan Project.
Okay.
We've been talking a lot about sloughing. People have been really upset
No, I
about
gotta-
like, us besmirching the good name and the good works the United States of America did during World War II, and then we kind of ruined it
See if I
with
like
you know, dropping a bunch of atomic bombs.
Yeah.
Well, I got a
Never
bunch
mind.
of DMs being like, good sloughing talk.
There was.
Welcome to
Oh, you know what?
Sloughy
Maybe I
Talk.
should put a scope on it
What
since
you
I'm
built
going
amongst
far with
yourselves.
it.
Oh, no.
But I realized one of the real true demons of the Manhattan Project is that there was, and this is true, one of the offshoots of the research within the Manhattan Project was the creation of glitter.
Gary Glitter.
His namesake. Glitter was created as a way to hold the plutonium, or it was it was an idea that it could help like stabilize plutonium inside of the bomb.
Yeah.
But instead they just liked how it looked and they sprinkled it on a bunch of shit.
Well, I mean, how much nicer would Nagasaki and Hiroshima look with a little bit of glitter?
You see, glove,
Oh my
atomic bomb. We
God.
gotta glam it up. Glam atomic bomb.
Also, now it's Skinny Boy, and it is non-binary individual.
Interesting. And this is really what the LGBTQ community is looking for, is more representation within giant destructive bombs.
Really?
Sorry, guys.
Oh, okay.
Halliburton's not gay anymore. It's no longer.
Oh no.
Right. Okay, everyone, welcome to Last Podcast to the Left. Ben hanging out with Henry and Marcus. Holy hell, what a slog it's been.
Slog? It's not been a slog.
He doesn't understand its history, its flights and fancies.
You guys are the ones who are always like, I'm so tired, I'm so tired. And then I'm like, well, don't do all the work then.
Unbelievable.
Come on. Okay, everyone.
No, we are. So we just said 2 months of work.
And 2 months
2
of
months
work.
of just, and
2
that's
months.
just of the show. That's just do with yelling and
2
talking on the show.
months. 2 months. 2 months. Okay. Manhattan Project, Part 6. And is this the final one, or is this going to be a Nightmare on Elm Street? Are we going...
This is called the Project Takes Manhattan.
Okay, great. This is Friday the 13th.
Damn.
So when we last left our story, Japan had surrendered to the United States, much to the relief of at least those in Japan who were slowly starving to death.
Yeah.
However, there were some ultranationalist fanatics in the military who didn't actually believe the emperor would ever surrender, much like the soldiers who spent years, and in some cases decades, fighting private wars against nobody in particular.
Wait a second, are you talking about me?
There you go.
It is interesting because you can kind of see where Supernova in the East talks a lot about the kind of the build-up of this like really intense war fever inside of Japan and the adherence to the emperor and the belief of his sort of like deity-like status. You could see though how events like
Did I get
this
him?
that
Yeah, I
took
did.
place shows kind of some proof that the Japanese were on some levels not quote unquote ready to surrender ever. They would never be.
Some.
And that's kind of like why they got their really intense reputation.
Yeah.
There's people still fighting the war today.
Which ones?
Well, you would have to go there and ask them what's going on.
I think now mostly they're into Coca-Cola products.
Yeah.
I've seen that giant robots. They love their mecha.
Yeah.
Ramuni is a very tasty soda.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a little ball in it.
Isn't that
Oh my
something?
God.
Do you like it better than Earn Brew?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
There's nothing I love more than Iron Brew, except for the possibility of Lemon Lime Solo, which I think may have been a fever dream because nobody seems to know what the fuck I'm talking about. I had a can of it in a fucking airport in Australia, and I've never heard of it again. It's incredible, and yet gone forever.
You just went to the same universe where David Grush went to pull out those objects from the other. It's the other Marcus.
Oh,
Had that
wow.
lemon lime soda.
Wow, he's loving life.
Well, indeed, the ultra-nationalists on the mainland were so deeply fanatic that the only explanation for a general surrender that they could possibly accept was that the man who'd given the address
No!
on the radio
Aw,
had
man.
been an allied imposter.
I needed that.
Can happen anywhere and everywhere.
Well, there's no way someone would do a
Really?
voice interpretation over the radio.
You can't do it.
Impressionist?
Now, this wasn't quite as ridiculous as you might think. 'cause
It's me,
this-
it's Ray Romano.
Oh my God, please don't do
It's Ray
that. No,
Romano
no,
on the
that was
set.
an intro.
It's me, Johnny Carson.
That's not even close.
Johnny Carson. Like a glove.
Don't even know what that
I'll
is.
put that in a basket.
It's an amalgamation of all of your past trauma.
Well, imitation wasn't really an issue because the radio address given by Emperor Hirohito was the first time that the Japanese population had ever heard his voice.
It's me, not Ray Romano. Emperor Hirohito to say, time for everybody to go to sleep. Sleepy time.
Wait, is that the Emperor? That's the guy who we think is a god.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of like hearing the voice of God. It was highly jarring for most of Japan, but it also gave plenty of room for allegations of disinformation. Furthermore, most of Japan had no idea of the full extent of what had happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
No one did.
No one did. So the idea that there was a super weapon laying in wait to raise the rest of their country, this was not on the forefront of most people's minds.
I mean, it also makes sense because at the end of the Emperor's address, he was like, "And don't forget your tactical bath. You're gonna want to buy a tactical bath. And for the patriots out there, we've got Patriot popcorn. And you know, we separated the caramel from the cheddar, and oh my God, the plain popcorn. We call that the Jewish popcorn.
Very interesting.
Totally separated as well.
I actually, once he got into merch, I did not know
It
that
was impressive.
Hirohito was gonna move so much.
Fuck.
T-shirts, water bottles,
Cut corn.
Cut
Well-
corn.
corn.
Cut corn.
See, that's good. That's why you got to write for info.
Why would you double peek that?
Someone
That's
does.
crazy.
Well, as a result, because there
Aw.
were people in the military who did
Thought I was
not
in the
believe
clear.
that Emperor Hirohito would ever surrender, 32 young Japanese officers stormed the Emperor's palace in Tokyo, claiming that the man on the radio couldn't have been the real Hirohito because Hirohito would never surrender. In their zeal, these officers killed the commanding general and set fire to the home of the prime minister before filling it with bullets from a machine gun.
Everybody
that's
kill
not far
this
enough.
house.
And one of the strangest things is one of the guys that stormed the building there, he actually played Jimmy Pesto. on Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers. What was the point of that Bob's Burgers?
He's making a January 6th reference
Oh,
to
the
the
guy who
attack
Jimmy
on the
Pesto
house.
stormed the
and
I think I know him best as the herky jerky.
The
man.
herky jerky man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's even weirder.
They can't even, the audience can't see him.
that when he stormed the Capitol.
Well, by the every entertainment for everyone.
Nice,
That's
good job,
right.
dude.
Well, by the end of this
Nice.
highly misguided misadventure, 6 Japanese guards were dead and all 32 insurgents had been killed. The overreaction to the surrender, however, wasn't yet at an end. Around the same time as the attack on the Emperor's Palace, a group of ultra-nationalists were part of a secret society called the Black Dragon.
Oh no!
They
Oh
also
damn!
made
I got
2
Sashimi'd.
unsuccessful attempts at assassinating the Prime Minister.
I got super
Well, they were
murdered.
kind of like, weren't they sort of a Japan supremacy group? Like, isn't it in that in that world? Yeah, where it's
Why
like,
can't I
they
mount
had a
this?
Massive.
Weird.
That's how we got to here.
Yeah.
Is that they
Alright.
identified
Let's
with
go this
the nationalist
way.
streak of the Nazi Party.
Yeah, well, it's ultra nationalist. There's a reason why they put the ultra at the beginning of nationalist, because this is far beyond anything that
Oh,
you
I
might
thought
see.
it just left her engine clean.
Well, absolutely. And
Yeah,
it could.
boy.
I've also been drinking a lot of Michelob Ultra.
Oh,
Keeping his engine clean. I haven't heard a rumble.
Well, at least
from his
let me get the
engine in
second
quite a
shot
period.
off.
Like, honestly, his farts are completely silent, and I want to thank Michelob Ultra for that.
Thank you very much.
Well, the next day after that double assassination attempt, 10 young men calling themselves the Sonjo Gigun seized a hill within sight of the American embassy. And they then killed themselves by setting 5 grenades off simultaneously.
Excuse me, Emperor Hirohito, I just gotta let you know, I know you're in the middle of like very long breakfast. But a couple of guys that we don't really care about just ruined a hill.
Yeah, well, that's kind of, I mean, what's the point
Wah,
of this?
wah.
Well, now they're starting to change a little bit. Now they're starting to accept that Hirohito has indeed surrendered. So now the shame is setting in
Yes.
on the Japanese military.
Blowing
yes!
themselves up on hills now.
Yes.
Get me all the long range
General Douglas
shots.
MacArthur arrived in Japan with
A good gas
corn
grenade
cob
overthrew
pipe
that.
hanging from his lips.
Yeah.
32 members of various ultra-nationalist secret societies disemboweled themselves in the act of harikiri.
A simple hello would have
It's
done.
fucking sweet. He's been like, they love me. Just shows up, the guts just shooting out of him like it's a fucking New Year's Eve party favor. He's like, yeah, wow, gut busted.
But look, seriously, Pamela, can you tell me, is it me? People keep on committing suicide as soon as they see me. Is it me?
Yeah, I think it's you and the entire U.S. military-industrial complex behind you.
Ah!
It's still a little baby, though.
It is.
Hey, I was camping
There
here.
was great meaning to
Yeah,
General
yeah.
Douglas MacArthur setting foot on Japanese soil.
Oh, that's from
This
behind
was
it.
the first time in
What the
Japan's
fuck?
1200
Where am I being
year
shot
history
from?
that an invading force had ever made it through. The first time. And these guys were, I mean, they were stabbing themselves in the stomach in public out of shame that they had allowed the defeat to occur.
Did they do that to you when you showed up with Carolina?
What?
Did they start stabbing themselves as soon as they saw you at all? When you went to Japan?
No, they welcomed him in with open arms. They love tourism.
Absolutely not. We were actually revered when we got there. Because Revered,
You
yes.
were revered.
Yeah, guy
Oh,
came,
hi.
and was just like, oh my god. Because they thought he was Katie Lang. Because
The Japanese
huge
love
over there.
Katie Lang.
They-
Absolutely love Katie Lang.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was weird. We were pointed at as like funny Americans. Like, look at the tall Americans.
So they were making fun of you, and then in your mind, in order not to
Revered.
commit suicide, you were revered.
It's what the comedians might.
Oh, wow.
I take the laughter at me. I flip it to with me.
Yes. Revered.
Okay.
But while the mood around Japan was grim to say the least,
Sounds like it.
cities and towns across America
You know what?
erupted in celebration on the day that victory was
not
declared
overstay
over
my
Japan,
welcome.
known thenceforth as VJ Day.
Yeah, man, that's when everyone was Charleston and everybody
I don't know
had
what's
a
going
mood,
on.
And then obviously
Okay.
they had to pop it because again, heirs for the soldiers.
That's true.
And
That's true.
They were out there. Whoo, man, that party. So much white casserole.
In New
Ah!
York City, 2 million people
Bummer.
huddled into Times Square.
Wow.
One veteran described the celebration as 10 New Year's Eves all rolled into one.
You wouldn't even believe it. It was just I couldn't even.
Well, I mean, honestly, the way that the war aged the people, it kind of was.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
By the next morning, the sidewalks in the garment district were 5 inches deep with scraps of fabric
Wow.
that had been thrown as an impromptu ticker tape celebration.
You can't say we don't know how to party.
Here's some fabric.
This, however, was one of the celebrations that went well.
What?
The one that's been fondly remembered for nearly a century.
Yeah.
Usually, this scene is what's shown at the end of most World War II documentaries as an example of innocent American jubilance and romanticism.
Oh yeah, we let Rosa the Riveter put her dress back on. We went right back to, and it was awesome. It was a great day, right?
Yeah. But over on the West Coast, the celebrations turned dark.
Oh God.
In San Francisco, VJ Day celebrations quickly devolved into a 72-hour riot, the deadliest in the city's history.
Has it ever stopped her?
I guess it's still going today.
For 3 days straight, a riot crew made up of 90% soldiers and sailors held the city hostage, and by the end of it, 1,000 people were injured, at least 6, but probably dozens of women had been raped, and an even 100 were dead.
They should not have booked Limp Bizkit for that.
I feel like exactly. They needed water. They needed porta potties. So this was like the one good day we had. No, like it was like before everything.
What are
was
you
like,
talking about? The one good day we had.
I mean, in terms of like after World War II.
As far as a nation, and they ruined it.
Yeah, San Francisco ruined it with the 3 days of mayhem.
But why did they riot?
Yeah,
I don't actually get it.
That's how we party.
Yeah, I mean, why do people riot after fucking Super Bowl victories?
Well, because
why do
it's
they
very rare
riot?
when the fucking Packers make it to the Super Bowl, and if they do win, no, actually in Wisconsin, they just eat.
Yeah, well, think of it this way: this is a Super Bowl riot, a fucking Stanley Cup riot, at times 1,000. It's that same energy.
So
Why,
it probably
I can
started
work with
off
that.
with Jubilee, and then
Well,
okay,
let's
we'll
get into it.
Let's get into it.
Now, the San Francisco VJ Day riots began on
It
March.
looks so
where
dumb. I
thousands
love
of
it.
drunken soldiers and sailors jammed and
Turok.
the streets.
There we go.
Oh yeah, I know that whole area. It's the guy you can see, you can imagine.
Yeah.
It's beautiful now.
The police, meanwhile, have been told to, quote, let the people do anything within reason.
Oh yeah, we gotta take out the garbage and do the recycling tonight, eh? Just before we go to bed. I'll do it with you.
Soon, soldiers and sailors were climbing under the roofs of jammed streets.
God damn it! I forgot to. Hold on. I gotta do this right now.
Clumsily tried to
That's gonna drive me
reenact the
crazy.
famous flag-raising photo from Iwo Jima.
That's so far. That's fun. That's just good old-fashioned fun. Yeah.
That is fun, yeah.
But once the revelers got a little taste of chaos, it was off
Okay.
for the greatest generation.
They just need to be able to dye their hair.
So,
These are the
yeah,
guys that they need more outlets.
There wasn't any. Was their hair dyed
They
then?
just got done killing a bunch of people. You figure they don't get it out of their system.
Absolutely, they did not get done. They did not just finish killing a bunch of people, and that's part of the point. We'll get to that here in a
These
second.
may have been the scallywags that didn't do anything at all.
The soldiers and sailors began setting fires, smashing windows, overturning cars, and according to witnesses, gang raping women.
Oh my
As
God.
one reporter put it, you couldn't stop the crowd with anything short of tear gas and fire hoses, and yet the city of San Francisco did little to
up?
stop the mayhem.
Yeah, they could have tried the tear gas and the fire hoses. Once the gang rape starts, I feel like then we can move on to other methods of stopping the crowd.
Well, I just don't think that we're even celebrating the victory anymore.
Well,
No,
I mean, and that's true when it comes to the Super Bowl. After 2 hours post Super Bowl, they forgot why they're partying.
Oh yeah, now the idea is that it's some expression of a group rage that has been embedded within a community, and then they are unleashing it for some reason.
well, I mean, this is
I'm
not
talking about
rape.
Super Bowl, like what Philly does every year, no matter what happens.
Yeah, they're upset.
No, this isn't a rage thing. This is a little more complicated than that. Now, as opposed to the guys and dolls in New York
There it
who'd been
is.
fighting in the European theater for years, those are the guys who'd spent years killing people.
And that's why that was a nice
Gigs up.
celebration, because those guys have basically just seen a bunch of horrible shit. Now they're just like that one woman says she wasn't really kissed with her consent. It's in the famous picture.
Yeah.
But at the same, that guy was fine at it at the time.
The majority of the soldiers and sailors rioting in San Francisco had never seen combat. These boys were draftees waiting to be sent to the Pacific, where they'd been told that they would most likely be entering into a years-long hellscape battling the quote-unquote savage Japanese on their home turf. Furthermore, it was being said over and over and over again in the press that at least 1 million combat troops would be killed taking the Japanese homeland.
I feel like that should be kind of a sense of relief then.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
would be happy I didn't go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, let's put it this way. Thankfully, for my family's honor, my papa, he was in boot camp on VJ Day over in California.
No one's indicting your family here.
No, we're not coming for your family.
But that's just to say,
Okay.
he did not participate in the riots. But from what he told me, he was, to put it lightly, a bit worried about going up against the Japanese.
As anybody would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I don't want to go to war.
Yeah.
Never mind a world war. I don't want to go to a localized war.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a city-based war. I
Well.
just want to have, you know what? Because what is war good for?
Nothing.
Except for helping the economy.
There you go.
Now, this is, of course, no excuse for the behavior of the servicemen in San Francisco, but it does give you a glimpse
Oh,
of just
no.
how relieved America was following
I
the
got
use of the
shot
atomic bomb,
a whole bunch of times.
and how grateful they were to have such a weapon.
Mhm.
An incredible tension had been broken, but it had not been broken with a prolonged Navy blockade or a diplomatic solution, as it should have been. It was broken by a big fucking bang. 2 big bangs, in fact, the likes of which the world had never seen. And I think that may have had a little bit of influence on the behavior of the soldiers and sailors in San Francisco.
There is definitely a sense that we showed our gigantic cock and balls to the world when we set off 2 atomic bombs in wartime scenario, and I think that they could see that as sort of they got swept into it.
And there is also something to be said. I mean, a lot of these guys were Marines, they were sailors. There is something to be said for, training these guys to kill for months and months and months at a time. And then all of a sudden, you're not going to be killing anymore. Instead, you don't have to do anything. But
You
still
got
have that
me.
instinct within you to kill, violence.
You know what you gotta do?
And that's just how it was expressed.
1940s America. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. A lot of wild hogs. You got to take these folks down to Texas and get them on the wild hog.
Oh, I agree.
You got to have them killing all them hogs.
Have them fight the hog.
Ben, I'm sorry, I got to drop a little bit of Texas.
Had a heart
knowledge on you.
attack.
The wild hogs did not come until much later.
Yeah?
The wild hog problem didn't really come until the 90s when actual pigs started getting turned out into the population. They started breeding with boars, and then just shit got out of hand. So wild hogs were nowhere near as pervasive. back in
fucking
the 40s.
idiot.
Well, who knows? Either way, what I'm saying is they should have directed their anger towards something that deserved it.
I do feel like when you keep saying wild hogs coming to Texas, it does sound like a big fat man version of the Hawaiian Tropic Girls. Just going around, just having men rub them with lard and shit, just like being like, yeah, that's 10. I like them shiny.
I love the Hawaiian hogs.
Coming to Abilene, Texas. Well, you better watch out. You better hold that. Oh, you better cover them soup canteens because the wild hogs run it. You can't keep a bowl empty.
We got the wild
hogs at Midnight Rodeo from Friday to Sunday. You can't even see their dicks.
That's great. What time does it start?
Now, once the rioters in San Francisco got all tuckered out on the first day, the violence died down.
That's when Nora Jones was doing her stuff.
Oh, very fantastic. I saw her at Willie Nelson's 90th birthday party, and she did a fantastic song with Chris Christopherson.
Really great.
Do you remember which song?
They sang the same one twice. Chris doesn't really know how to sing anymore, but he is indeed the greatest generation.
He was after the greatest generation.
Wasn't he the greatest gen?
He was Vietnam.
Fuck.
He's Vietnam.
Yeah. Top Navy brass, however, even after the first day of rioting, they did not cancel leave. They did not admonish their men. Instead, they politely requested
None of that.
the sailors and soldiers return to their ships. Guys, come back. Guys, they basically gave them a guys.
Yeah,
Guys.
come on, guys. Let's go 69 back in the vessel.
Come on, guys.
The guys didn't, of course.
No, they didn't. I toured one of those fucking submarines on the wharf there in San Francisco. I don't know how any of them aren't gay.
That's where my father...
Because there was no room. I would be so fucking scared on that thing.
I feel like the one thing that keeps you truly from being gay in a submarine is the smell.
I think
sex
that's
smell.
I think that's... Who cares at this point?
I just feel like everybody, the food is bad enough. The idea of a submariner's dick going in and out of your mouth, I feel like on some level is unpleasant.
And the dried cum.
The dried
Oh,
cum.
it's definitely
Flaking
still
everywhere.
cum everywhere. People are jerking
Never
off their
mind
young
just
boys.
the psoriasis, just in general, but according to my father, he said they were like, they didn't get gay until they surfaced.
Well,
Interesting.
You want to do it for show.
Live on your blade.
Well, the riots continued for another 2 days. More women were raped, far more people of both genders were seriously injured, and 100 people died, either as a consequence of the chaos or in trying to stop it. They're killing cops.
Do you guys just remember this is about the war being over?
Yeah, this is a horrible way to celebrate, San Fran. Come on.
And this is the so-called greatest generation as well.
I know you continue to dig.
Yeah, because
And Tom Brokaw.
because those assholes spent so many fucking years looking down on every generation after them. Oh, we did so great. Oh, we were so honorable. Oh, we did this. Oh, we
You
did
have
that.
so much weird anger.
He does.
I have nothing. I feel nothing.
You know what's funny is that I'm here. Again, we did this last week when he got real hardcore on it. I like seeing Hot Take Marcus. No, I like feeling this heat because I just view us all as the same fucking. I don't think time's real. You know, and that's my main issue is that we're even talking about this. I don't think any of this even technically happened. I think this was in another Earth, and we're actually diverted into another timeline somewhere around 1947, and it doesn't even matter looking back on these people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's a good way to handle the past by just pretending it never happened.
I just kind of just coast on that.
And you're misunderstanding my anger. It's actually less about the
It's
condescension.
bitterness. It's
not bitterness, not at all. It's about historical accuracy. It's about actually looking at the history
Oh,
of
no,
America
from behind. Okay.
with open eyes and actually seeing what
Ew,
actually happened in this country
oopsie-daisy.
throughout its fucking entirety, without sucking the dicks of anybody that don't deserve their dicks to be sucked.
I will say, in terms of a Satanist point of view, it was good that the greatest generation did these horrible things to make us on top. That is kind of the idea, right?
who's
We
shooting
can
like a
thank
crazy
them
person
for
right
our
now?
lovely Apple computer. We can thank
I don't
them
know if we
for
can
these.
thank the
Look at
people
my
for the-
shoe culture. You can
Wow,
thank them for
this
these
is
I don't know why you're
really
taking your
green.
clothes
Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we can
Those
really.
are great shoes.
Fact.
Not
What?
the people in San Francisco. We'll exclude them. We'll do a carve out. We're gonna do a greatest generation carve out. If you're in San Francisco at this time, you're not part of it. And
You're
you're
on
dead.
the bad list.
You're dead. Because I do believe there's one left. There's one greater generation person left.
There's one World War. I think there's more than one World War
I
II.
don't know. No, there's one that they can talk to.
Yeah. One guy who doesn't just go back. Yeah, there's one guy who's so like, but you don't want to really hear what he has to say.
No, for the most part, we know that they're still alive, but from the other side, because they're still getting arrested for war crimes.
But in the end, no one was charged with murder in the San Francisco riots. No one
My
was
God.
really charged with anything of consequence. At worst, they were thrown in the drunk tank. And as a result, the deadly riot quietly slipped into the dustbin of history in favor of a feel-good picture of a handsome sailor kissing a pretty gal amidst a moment of jubilation.
I really thought we were gonna have one pleasant moment.
It does seem
Like in this show.
I mean, the one
But
in New
we didn't.
York was nice
That-
because then you go down to McSorley's. You have your what is it? Just white or is it white or red?
Sorley's
Yeah.
is extremely overrated.
Yeah.
No,
That's
but
my
it
hot take.
wasn't-
We
no,
want to talk
I
about
know.
my true
Oh
hot
my
take?
God.
That's my hot take.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that moment in New York, I did give you that. That was a nice moment.
Sweet.
See?
Hot
Yeah.
dogs, get your hot dogs here.
It's like I
Everyone's
was there.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, while America was celebrating the end of a 4-year war, rightfully so, for those who didn't behave like those in San Francisco, there were plenty of good ones
That's good.
out there in America.
See?
The horrors of Hiroshima and now Nagasaki.
Right back. Right fucking back.
But you know, the strangest thing is, as soon as they dropped the bomb, they played this clip from a guy named Urkel, and it was like, and it just
He said, "Did I do that?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those horrors were getting exponentially worse. Hundreds of crows filled the sky.
Good lord. Came Halloween Town. I didn't know Jack Skellington was there.
Hundreds of crows. Man, I do love a good crow. They're so smart. They give you treats if you feed them.
Yeah, well, guess what, man? They weren't getting any treats at fucking Hiroshima.
No. Hundreds of crows filled the skies above both cities, occasionally landing to pick the flesh.
Sorry, no, we have to get through it.
No,
We have to get through
it's
this.
real. This is real. This is absolutely real.
This is real. So from the streets of San Francisco,
Yeah.
be sure to bring.
Yeah, I got my rice-a-roni on one
flour
side.
in your hair and maybe a shake.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's try one more time.
And now here we go. Crows eating human flesh.
Hundreds of crows filled the skies above both cities, occasionally landing
it's
to
like
pick the
15
flesh
more
from
kills,
the
huh?
radioactive dead.
Get the lead out or whatever.
Yeah, these crows are going to end up being radioactive.
They were.
Oh,
And so, to prevent animals from treating their countrymen as carrion, and possibly just to do something, the survivors began to gather the corpses for mass cremations across both cities. Oil was poured on corpse piles that were described as mountainous, then set on fire. But because of the nature of the injury sustained was so poorly understood, people inside
Angry
the funeral
Biscuit.
pyre who had
What is
nearly
up,
been
buddy?
unconscious came crawling out
Oh
of the
my
pile
God.
when they found themselves set on fire.
Hey guys, I'm actually fine.
You know what?
Oh.
Actually, I'll just stay.
I seriously
At
might.
this point, crows are eating the radiated dead.
Yeah.
Hey, just throw some kerosene. Yeah, add some kerosene, please.
Please, just get it done with faster.
Some actually had enough in them to run out. So there's
it's
these
doing
gigantic
platinum
mountains
challenges.
of corpses,
Long
and there's
range
on fire,
kills.
There's people on fire,
Leveling up
running
my
around
rocket.
them. It's incredible.
I don't like this new Burning Man. You get it.
Cancelable.
I don't.
That's what I'll say.
Cancel.
Cancelable.
Oh no.
In other parts of the city, the bodies were stacked in a manner so haphazard that identifying them became impossible. In one case, two men
Yeah,
argued
it's
over
the
an
the
unrecognizably
ghost. Is it
scorched
Ghost?
body
Yeah,
found
Ghost
between
Black
the
Cell,
houses,
and then I
because
have
both
the other
of
one
them
is the
claimed that
Kotak,
the
or whatever his
corpse
name is.
was that of their wife.
Oh, this level. I
Talking about San Francisco.
oh no,
God,
is this the car show one or is that a different Call of Duty? Oh no, it's a different one. I was thinking of the car garage thing from the last Call of Duty.
Man.
Oh, I've played this on free for all.
Traces of family members,
Come
something as
on.
small as a ring, which became the only way to identify.
Oh shit!
the
Nah, I
corpse,
just saw that guy.
or in some cases, a pile of ashes.
Oh.
A woman identified the eyeless corpse of her mother by the
Let's
gold
go.
tooth mouth, which had been left wide open by the scream she'd let loose as she died. But as far as the dead went,
Surprised the gold didn't melt, truly.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
But
you
she actually
did live.
probably had been killed.
Really? That
by
wasn't long
someone
range either,
afterwards,
eh?
because
God.
See,
You
you
almost
almost let one thing kind of just lie there.
Yeah.
And he just said, actually, what
The
you were going to say was
firestorm
actually much
afterwards.
worse.
It's actually a lot worse, yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as the dead went within the radius of the most extreme radioactive exposure, they were the lucky ones. Burn wounds on the most badly exposed.
It's
stubbornly refused to
it's
heal
a
and
I don't know.
began
It's
to decay while the victim was still alive.
this one is the
Attracting
one from the
insects
this
that usually waited
battle
until
pass
the
or whatever.
victim
It's the
had
Tempest
died.
Razorback,
As
whatever.
one
But
childhood
I'm
memory
doing all the
went,
long
the boy
range
was attempting
challenges,
to
so I got to
take
get
care of the
silly
burns
long
on his
range kills with
mother's
machine
hands,
guns.
legs, and back, in addition to a
Gun
cracked
mental
skull.
for Jackson.
Like
It's
so
just
many
yes.
others, the burns wouldn't heal, but when the
This
skin
guy
dried
here.
and peeled off, the boy saw why. His mother's flesh underneath her skin was infested with maggots that swarmed
Gross.
from underneath. Once the skin peeled off, though,
Oh, there you go.
flies soon joined the maggots. They covered
Still
the
not long
exposed
range.
veins in
What
such
the
number
hell? Okay,
that
let's
the
back her
child
up even
found
more.
himself in the endless
Oh,
grasp
okay,
of
too
gently
far.
picking them off. one
38
by one,
meters is a lot of
so as to
meters,
cause the
apparently.
least amount of pain to his mother.
Do you know that Tim Allen turned down the pilot of Turner and Hooch
Is that
and
right?
Ted Poets Society? They were gonna make that like literally television shows, and he turned that down to make fucking Home Improvement.
Oh, well, he actually chose right with Home Improvement. And Turner and Hooch, underrated Tom Hanks classic.
Yeah. Well, it's a dog. It's a cop.
I mean, it's fantastic. And of course, that's Hooch.
But from what the boy later said, his mother never really complained about the pain or the obvious itch.
The ultimate
Itch.
martyr move. Honestly, it does feel like what my
son
mom would do. Like,
of-
oh, don't worry about
Holy
me.
moly!
There's nothing wrong. Oh, yes, the bugs of the dead have been attracted to a living being, yeah. But don't even think about taking care of me.
Yes,
Oh, you go
indeed.
live your life.
Instead, all she
I knew
would say
that.
was,
I don't know why I
"I'd like
did
to
that,
eat
but
a
I knew
peach."
not to do that.
Oh.
and Still
And
did it.
over and over again.
Do we have any
Okay, whatever.
peaches?
This map's not really a
Some
long
actually
range
one of
map.
the
We'll
relatives did travel,
play the
and
objective, I
she found
guess.
a peach
Good.
eventually. But this went on for a month
There we
before this woman finally died.
Oh, mama.
However, it's probable that this woman didn't just die.
Yeah,
from
I was
infection.
putting. Actually, I don't know if I tuned
Likely,
this one.
she
I may
joined
have.
the ranks
I
of
don't remember if I did. I'll have to check, but
survivors
yeah, I
who
was.
died horrible deaths
I gotta put on the
weeks to
recoil
months after the initial
and
blast
velocity
by
or
way of
whatever.
radiation
Oh,
sickness.
I'll check it out right
Now,
after
in
this.
1950, a Japanese survey estimated that a combined 368,259 people had survived the atomic blast. 18 had survived
Damn.
both. These survivors came to be known by the derogatory term of hibakusha, meaning survivor or exposed one.
Derogatory
Yeah,
term.
why is that bad?
I feel like that means you made it.
Well, it was derogatory in its context. If one was a hibakusha, they would live as pariahs in Japanese society for the rest of their lives because many people in the rest of the country erroneously believed that radiation exposure and therefore radiation sickness could be contagious
Interesting.
and lifelong.
I did not know that. That's very, very interesting.
These people were believed by some to be permanently radioactive, and as a result, they couldn't get jobs,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
they were forbidden from marrying into certain families. In the
Where are we?
Hiroshima, in their own works documentary, a guy
map's not
talks
very
about
great
how,
for long
you know,
distance,
he would
I can
hide
have to
it
play a
from
regular
everybody. He would
game.
hide his scars. He met a nice girl, and then the family found out. You know, they started asking him questions. Where are you
Guess
from?
I'll play the
And
game as
eventually he
intended.
had to say Hiroshima, and the second he said Hiroshima, they said exposed one. Get out
Damn,
of here. You
that's
can't
good.
marry our daughter.
That's-
And that happened again and again and again to these people for their entire
It
lives.
also sounds like an internalized. There's all it does, and it does sound like it's an internalized thing of the shame involved in quote unquote losing the war, and kind of we brought this amongst ourselves. There is that vibe, right? Because the people would take the failures of the government onto themselves
Yeah.
because they identified so hard with their own culture,
Nationalists.
as they would. So like, it is interesting to see that where like just even the compartmentalized shame within their communities to deny the memory, to get away from the memory.
We could use a little bit more shame in this culture, but not that much.
We just need
Not that much.
We need like a dollop of shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we need it in different places. We need
Right.
to take all. We have too much shame on sex. We need to take that off. And just sprinkle it around through other places.
Back on the violence. And it's like politicians, again, they should be shamed
Point
every
protected.
month to remember. Each one they should be paraded out in diapers, chained ankle to ankle,
Thought
just
I
so they
saw
are
a
no. We
pip over
can
here.
tell them. Remember, this is your place. You're
Oh,
a
maybe it
bunch
was
of
a
little
decoy
servants.
grenade.
You're supposed to do what we tell you to do.
You
Oh,
throw
what's
the
up?
rotten food at
They should be
It's classic.
scared of us.
Yeah, we should rename Congressman
Saw
Shit
that.
Kid.
There's a
That
guy
should
right
be
here.
Shit
incredible.
kids.
Yeah.
There we go.
Also a great band.
No, that was my fault.
Yeah.
Oh, why did I do that?
In addition to fearing
I was like,
these
well, nobody there.
false reasons, there was the very real fact that any of these people could suddenly.
On the
drop
plus
dead
side, we're
from all
absolutely
manner of
destroying
cancers.
them.
And as we'll cover later, any of them could be taken off their jobs at a moment's notice to be studied by Americans who found the after effects of the nuclear bomb to be absolutely fascinating.
I'm really happy that guy was on my
Because
team.
you know what, we'll get
I
into
nearly
all
pissed
the
my
granular
pants.
details there. It's thick. It's very
Yeah, they didn't get any
complex.
superpowers. It seems like
Done.
it was really bad.
No Incredible Hulks here.
no.
Or Ant-Man, or a whole bunch of other stuff.
Now, as far as the dead men, recent estimates put the final death toll at a far higher number than what was touted by General Leslie Groves in the immediate aftermath of the bombings. It was estimated that 140,000 people were dead by the end of 1945, and within 5 years, 200,000 were dead.
See that bomb gives you extra for your buck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, more bang for your buck indeed.
When it came to Hiroshima, 54% of their population had died as a result of the little boy bomb.
Also, remember the estimates are based off the concept that they thought that
Scared
these
the piss out
bombs
of
were
me.
just gonna kill everybody clean.
Yeah.
And they were just
Right.
gonna just show up. It was gonna explode everybody. They were all gonna burst into dust, and we wouldn't even have to clean anything up. We would just go and see this cleared land and be so happy that we did it. We just have the number. We just say, look, that's it.
Well, eventually we did develop that.
All right,
bomb.
is
Called
this a
the
genius
neutron
spot or is this a terrible
No.
spot? Let's find
Ain't
out.
nothing we can't do.
That's right, Johnny Neutron.
bomb. In the days
There's a
and
guy
weeks
right
after the
behind me.
bombing, 71% of Hiroshima's population and 69% of
Nice.
Nagasaki.
No, Henry.
No.
This is not that kind of
No.
69. This is bad 69.
69% of Nagasaki and 71% of Hiroshima experienced to some degree what was first called atom
Kill all
bomb
the
illness,
things.
but
Oh
soon
man,
came to
I went
be
into
known as
Invasion
radiation sickness.
and I got my javelin gold in 3 matches.
The nuclear incident at Chernobyl created a radiation exposure that peaked at
No
500
exaggeration.
rads.
And that
3
actually
matches.
converts to
Got a
1,500
gold
rupees.
javelin.
Wow, that is crazy.
And
Am I
3,000
going? Oh,
radicals.
I'm not going forward.
Indeed, that is a big bomb.
Actually, that's what RADS is short for, is radical.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, bummer.
Groovies is just when you try to talk to hip guy.
Yes, groove indeed. I've heard
We
it's
won
in
yet? I
the
want to play a different map. That's not
It
this
is
one.
actually serious condition for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know.
By comparison, the in-air doses of gamma rays from the uranium bomb at Ground Zero in Hiroshima, that was over 10,000 rads.
I mean, you're just saying numbers here, buddy. I don't know how to quantify that.
A lot of gunk.
Yeah, a lot of
Do,
gunk.
do,
Okay, think
do.
about how deadly Chernobyl was. Like, they talk about the elephant foot. They talk about how dangerous Chernobyl was. That's 500.
Okay.
Hiroshima, that's 10,000.
Yeah.
It's a much
Oh yeah, and after this
It's
game,
a
I'll
larger
check out
number.
those
It's more groovies than the
those
last
tuning
one.
things. I always forget.
Elephant foot is.
I've been better, but I usually forget.
You forget, but
Always
what
remember the horrors of Chernobyl.
But what
my
would a foot need to forget?
Ooh, who got the nuke?
Yeah, if I was a foot, I wouldn't remember.
Holy
every single time I
moly.
stepped on dog poop.
Good job.
That's gone.
Well, Nagasaki was even worse. That was 25,100.
Oh, it's definitely that
Higher
Stars
number than the
guy.
ones before.
It's almost not groovy at all.
Yeah.
Wow, all the science people.
Oh, it's down here. Sorry.
mad at us.
Brody,
you
you on the
That's a lot.
Each rad increases the chances
Bestest
of radiation
child
sickness
ever.
and increases how bad it's going to get. And I'm about to get into the worst of how bad it gets.
Oh my.
As a result, cases
Crazy.
of serious
You're
radiation
crazy.
sickness reached 3 miles from Ground Zero. Now, those who didn't die in the blast or soon after the blast seemed to improve in the days afterwards, giving the doctors a little bit of hope that maybe the worst was over. But within a week, radiation sickness began to take hold as those who were severely exposed began to fall apart from the inside out.
Tubes,
They really
dude.
thought
Recoil
that it would take a long time to
steadiness.
die from
The
radiation.
Manhattan Project science.
Damage
Yes, they thought that
Why
we
would they think that?
Well, it's because every other example we've had of radiation exposure showed someone that you got basically a little bits at a time, and they thought that eventually you would kind of grow. You get
That
sick
nuke,
with
that's
Madame
right.
Curie, right? Was an
That's
example
right.
of it.
Send a
Died
message.
at 64,
Okay.
but younger than she should have. But like the idea is that like she still like had
Okay,
a
fine.
life, and they kind of thought that this would be that would hold true no matter what. That you kind of would get these things. They were wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in Florida.
Yeah.
They're paving the highways.
Oh,
now
that's
with
about as accurate as you
materials,
can get.
so we'll see what happens.
Another reason.
See how this one goes.
I mean, everyone's gonna be dead soon.
Well, radiation sickness usually began with hair falling out in large clumps. Bleeding from the mouth, gums, throat, rectum, and urinary tract soon followed. You're literally bleeding out of your dick.
Oh gosh.
And that was in addition to nausea and loss of
Oh, we're
appetite.
doing this one.
Then came
What did I
could
think
see
we were
the
doing?
loss of
This is a good
appetite.
long
I mean,
one.
just because of the mirror.
Just the whole thing is
Run.
pretty not appetizing.
Then came
Watch
the bloody
out.
vomit and
Oh, whoops.
diarrhea as the victim's body began to seriously hemorrhage. So terrified were people of radiation sickness that many survivors woke up every morning and they tugged on their hair to see if they were the next to die of a condition that was, at the time, barely understood but greatly feared. As we now know, radiation sickness affects the body by causing rapid cell division, but the radiation itself temporarily
Oh, you
suppresses
found me.
the action. It's delayed. And once that wears off, internal tissues and organs
Alright, so that was
rapidly begin
one.
to collapse
What
into
can I
an
do to get here?
unrecognizable bloody mess.
Yeah, you. It's like what the machine from The Fly does.
Ah!
It does
Oh.
it like inside of your body over and over again.
You gotta make sure no fly sneaks in there.
No.
The radiation
Well, I
causes
got-
massive
definitely have the
tissue
recoil
death,
now.
massive hemorrhage, and massive infection. This caused one doctor to compare the radiation death sicknesses to the Black Death of the 1300s in terms of the sheer number of deaths and the carnage that came with them.
I got a really good email this morning as I was researching that I thought was real. It was
Oh, yeah.
this guy. It
I'm
was
on
great.
fire.
He was basically saying, imagine just the spookiness of radioactive material in general. It is rocks.
Guy's having a
that
bad
come from the
day.
earth That glow. They literally glow in dark.
Damn it.
And they dissemble any sort of matter that is.
Oh
in
my
a
god, let me
around
spawn
it.
in.
And so imagine
Uh-oh,
that
people are leaving.
vaporized.
I think that might
just
be
like
this lobby.
Spread across all the stuff, and all it does is turn everything into fucking soup.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're
like
gonna
it.
go to a different
When
lobby.
autopsies were performed on victims in Nagasaki,
The
doctors
game is a
found
runaway.
that in the bodies
Actually,
that
before
the
I do
internal
that,
veins had been torn to shreds.
job.
And as far as the organs went, they were so badly destroyed that they had begun to decay even before
God
the
damn it.
victim had themselves died.
Well,
the
that's not-
organs died first.
You don't want that.
Quitting.
You want to time it. Yeah, that's what happened. That's it. It was millennials. The organs were made of millennials.
Have you heard millennials have ruined the having an internal organs business? another casualty of millennial culture.
We're the greatest generation.
Well, as a result, when the bodies were cremated, they gave off a
Can't
strange
remember.
smell.
Oh, yeah, and then
Most
60
assumed
round.
that it was because of the radiation. But as those experienced in cremation pointed out at the time, it was in fact because the bodies being
Left
burned
check, I think.
were simultaneously in 2 different stages of decay.
Gold.
See, a lot of times what I found is that if you don't know what that flavor is, it's fish sauce.
Sunscreen.
Oh, it could be. That's
What
common.
was
That is
the-
common. I don't know if that's really the case
I mean,
here.
oh boy, I still
I'm
need like
surprised they actually
14
went the burning
long
route. I
shots.
don't know what the safest
Ooh.
way is.
That
To
is
dispose
That is
of
technically
Lamb.
still
That's
the
it?
safest way, yeah.
yeah, that's the safest way, and it's
Oh,
also the only way
need to
that
do
they're not going to
the
dig. You know, there's
tune
no,
it,
there's
recoil
no other way to get rid of
steadiness.
these bodies, and they also know
Aim down
that
sight
you know, the
speed.
more bodies you
Well,
have,
damage
the more disease
range.
you have. You
Right.
got to get if you have a bunch of bodies, you got to
See
get rid of them
that.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy, every Sunday.
Oh shit.
I got a bunch of bodies. Oh, God damn it.
It's kind of nice because it's like that's kind of me and Kissel's bonding time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I can go, I help him with his pyramid of bodies. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're not because I can't ask questions about that.
Yeah.
I can ask questions about him.
Yeah,
And I can get to know him more. And I find out
Exactly.
stuff like, he loves the color orange.
Wow.
I don't hate it. Green is my favorite color, but orange is fine.
This is part of our, and then I was just like, is this your fucking look-alike of your mother?
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Never do that to guys. I just want her near me.
It just looks weird.
Full of holes.
Yeah.
By the 8-week mark, though,
That's much better.
death by acute
Still a lot of
radiation
recoil, though.
poisoning
Holy
began
crap.
to cease, although the long-term effects carried on for decades. Leukemia cases began 2 years after and peaked at 8 years after. But every survivor had a far higher chance than the average person of all manner of cancers for the rest of their lives.
My conspiracy theory little thought in my own head is I thought that maybe that they thought that these diseases would, because they thought they were long-term things that would slowly come about. So I figured in my mind,
Yeah, I don't
maybe
know.
they
Sometimes
thought,
you just gotta
well, once they
back out of a
have
lobby
projects,
because
they have people, guys,
as it starts to
like,
fill
at
in
some
people
point,
and
we'll
respond to your
see
MMR,
this
it usually
information
just
come
like
out, but it'll be
absolutely
decades after
decimates
the
you.
fact
Okay,
when they'll
I'm
have
keeping
written all these
this.
exposés. We won't
Save
have to deal with it
this.
till later on. We'll all be dead by the time you're
Razorback.
talking about the actual repercussions of these bombings. But it turned out it was day 3.
Razorback
Yeah.
range.
Now, as far as what the people behind
Sure.
the Manhattan Project knew about the possible side effects of the bomb, the dangers of radiation in at least a lab
cast
setting have been
of-
well documented since the 1920s.
They just-
As
oh,
we
wow,
said,
got rid of
Marie
all my
Curie,
attachments,
Like
that's
they
cool.
knew that her journals
What's
were
going on with
still
this stuff?
radioactive. Her
And they can make
cookbook.
you sick.
Mm.
They'll make you sick being
Yeah.
around them. It makes you sick.
Yeah, if you're around them for a long time, or if you're exposed to, like Marie Curie died many years later because of how many X-rays she was exposed to during World War
What's
I.
mom
I
making?
also got some good thing on
You
the
know?
radium. It's still not good to just be touching radium.
No, but you gotta ingest it.
But you shouldn't do any of it. I would say let radium, use a glove.
Use a glove. In the Manhattan
Underbarrel.
Project itself,
Grab
all
ripper,
laboratories monitored radiation
rear
exposure
grip,
constantly, and they had precise handling procedures for nuclear material to prevent long-term
Recoil
exposure,
control, I
like
think?
Marie Curie. Nobody, however,
No.
had seen what
Remove that
acute
barrel.
radiation poisoning might do to a large population.
Like, what if we turn it into a purified gas that just goes into you? Because also, radiation just goes through all of your cells. Like, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to go, like, especially in that form.
Think,
Like,
right?
it's just everywhere, and it just zips right through your body, back and forth as the wind blows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
and that's
doubt.
the thing. The wind carries radiation everywhere. That's why
That's
after
pretty good, I think.
Chernobyl, there were
Alright.
so many cases of cancer.
Okay, everyone,
in
were
a
we happy?
Vast, large
Huge
radius.
circle.
Yeah,
And
that's
it-
actually what the biggest danger of a nuclear meltdown actually is that it's not the immediate surrounding area.
It's everywhere else.
It's where the wind takes
Yeah.
the radioactivity.
You want to get some big.
I like that
fans, put 'em
ISO
around,
45 though.
just
That's
have 'em
really
facing
good. It's
out.
like an assault
Yeah,
SMG
to the White
essentially.
House.
It's
Yeah.
great.
This guy, it's kind of crazy because Robert Oppenheimer, even he said
That is the
after
SMG,
all this,
right?
He made a little like when the bomb drops and all that kind of, and there was like obviously celebrating for a couple
Yeah,
days,
this
and
one.
then everyone's like, "What did we just do?" Robert Oppenheimer said that he thought that theoretically his statement that the radiation would have basically not have made it to the ground.
Yeah.
He thought that it would have dissipated before it got to everybody, and he was also wrong.
Yes, he was. And I think that the
Fallout.
sun.
For a
Or
reason.
purposefully lying.
Yeah. Well, I think they called it Fallout after the fact.
It's false.
Yeah. Well, the
No.
scientists of the Manhattan
Yes.
Project,
Yeah.
I think they were certainly
Got it
smart
in
enough
there.
to speculate. The problem was that their
What you
scientists
playing?
were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they
Oh,
didn't
we've
stop
been
to think they
disconnected.
should.
Whoa!
Yep.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh goddamn, we for real playing Shipment?
Oh, hey.
Okay, in that case, I guess we'll give the ISO a go. No way I'm taking a friggin'.
Say, I could be anybody.
You really are
This is
super
gonna be
talented.
absolutely
Jurassic
horrible.
Park, you're gonna want to check out
I love
that
it.
movie. That's a good one. That came out in 92 or 94. 94, so that's a good one. That's only...
Oh man, I'm not
No,
gonna. I
I'm
don't.
only
Need,
8 years old.
I really need the right angle to get 20 meters on this thing. Okay, let's not be here anymore.
Now, by late August 1945,
I've played enough Shipment. Oh my
3 weeks
god.
after the bomb dropped, international media outlets began picking up stories from the Japanese
Well, let me
press
tell you,
about
that's
a
all. Oh
mysterious
god,
and deadly
I just
illness
played nothing
that
but
wiped
Shipment
out
for an
3
entire
hours by
rotation
bomb.
off work.
General Leslie Groves, however, went into damage control mode immediately.
Actually,
and
might as well level
dismissed
my
the
frickin'
stories
RPG while
as
I'm here.
Japanese propaganda meant to garner sympathy.
See? That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do.
No. How about not?
But General Leslie Groves, I think,
Really?
in many
Alright.
ways, it's also personal. Because Robert Oppenheimer also went in hard right afterwards to say, like, you know, we're trying to kind of validate, figure these things out. I think General Leslie Groves, in many ways, yes, he was trying to save his ass, and he was trying to save, like, the view of the Manhattan Project to history, but I also think
So,
there was a great sense of guilt.
I don't know, man. In this day and age, you can ride your high horse, or you could like just do what you want. And, like, the only bad taste I have in my mouth, and I don't think I have bought a cosmetic for this Modern Warfare 2, outside from the battle passes, is because I'm a little chap that in Warzone 1, Modern Warfare 1, they made Warzone 2, and then all the stuff that you bought's null and void. It's like, okay, well, I mean, I get it, like, we don't own anything, but it's like, that's kind of like bad practice, man. Like, why would I want to buy things for the next Call of Duty life cycle, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. That's really weird to me. Wow, we are not winning this game of Shipment, let me tell you.
He was being told about what was happening
my
in
God.
both cities because soldiers showed up in Nagasaki pretty soon after the bomb dropped.
Although maybe in some respects people are happy because they won't see like how cringe the crap they bought was. In the original Modern Warfare, I was the guy that bought the entire weed bundle that had weed everything, and I used it religiously.
That's why I do think that there is a
So,
there is a level of
there's
ignorance
that.
about what the fuck they just did. I don't think that they just did not fully appreciate that we're gonna melt people.
No, they didn't think about it hard.
No.
Like they only thought about the bomb. They only
They're trying
thought
to
about,
end the war.
Yeah, they only thought about making the bomb, or they're trying to fucking beat the Germans.
Yeah.
Like, and they're only thinking about making.
Anybody
the
else
bomb,
gonna hit that?
Problems about dropping the bomb. They're not putting any
Thank you.
thought into what the bomb's actually going to do.
I want to steal the kill. Oh, I guess I don't want to. Oh well, at least it was a fast game. Holy crap.
What are you even talking about?
It's very scary.
That's 150 kills.
Because it's the problem, so once you get 'em off track,
GG.
you find out everything.
How long was that?
Yeah.
Irrevocably change history.
It was like a
It's gonna make
3-minute
bunch of people turn
game.
into like sock puppets and shit, and you're like,
Not
why don't we
good.
stop talking? Why don't we just? I don't want to know anymore.
You gotta pivot, but there's nothing to pivot to.
Well, furthermore, General Leslie Groves became even more aware of the consequences of acute radiation poisoning after an incident that occurred on American soil.
So I mean, or I guess my point was like, I mean, if you feel it's worth it, you want it, right? You get it. But I mean, I haven't really found anything that I wanted enough to buy. Like, the only thing that I came close, I would have got was that Spartan outfit. But apparently, the guy that made that said bad things on Twitter, and now the skin is perma deleted from Call of Duty. So, oops.
No, man. The
And if you
demon,
don't upgrade, they will kill you.
the demon core was just honestly being blamed for being itself.
Now, if you'll remember from episode 5, Little Boy and Fat Man were the only 2 atomic bombs in
Yeah,
existence.
I mean
when
that's
they
why it's
dropped.
like, wow.
So
Like,
Los
if you look
Alamos
at the
was
games
only
like,
third, just in
what
case
would be a good
America
example?
wanted
Like,
to drop another on Japan.
hell, League of
That's a
Legends,
hard want.
right?
It's
Like,
not a
they
need.
have character skins that are 10 years old. Like, you know, I mean, I get they changed everything. The engine's different and licensing or whatever, because that's the biggest problem, I think, because they're not their own designs. They partner and they license, so it all turns into FOMO, limited time only
Three, however,
nonsense.
soon
So
developed a reputation for injuring or killing the people who worked on it.
You see, it was supposed to be a bomb, and it was supposed to live this life and have this fun
Right.
thing, and it never got to.
It's
Yeah.
really sad. The story
Yeah.
of the bomb that never was.
It's Rudy of the atomic bombs.
Yes,
It's
but-
just him be like, and this is his one shot. He finally got in the game a little bit, but just killing. Yeah, he killed 2 scientists, but that was him. That's his version of playing the one play for the Notre Dame.
Well, in the first of 2 serious accidents, a scientist was performing
Mercado Los
experiments on the
Alamos.
core with
Oh,
a
this map's
mishandled
alright.
component.
Man,
I
it
know a
sounds
couple good
so
spots
fucking
to-
frightening.
Hey, I got a
Because again,
clan
it's
on my
also
town,
real
the Trash
loot,
Clan.
Because the core, like, that's one of those things I had to like figure out how to wrap my brain around because I couldn't really understand when they talk about piles and cores and like what does this even mean?
Bricks.
And bricks.
Because he
And
dropped a brick.
Yeah, and then I realized, oh, it's just that.
Piles.
It's just a pile. Like they put it like in a metal circle, like the plutonium in a metal circle, and then they build these bricks of stuff around it that are supposed to make all the neutrons within it bounce around, right? You basically make it like an oven with the plutonium in the center of it. But I just didn't understand. I thought it would be way more technical than that.
Oh,
but
whoops.
it's literally just like it's a brick made out of extremely technical metal.
Dun,
Put together.
dun,
But
dun,
all you have to
where
do
am
is
I? I'm
fucking
here.
whoopsie,
Yeah.
and things go fucking critical.
You don't want your last words to be go.
That is gonna be my last one. It'll be coming in my pants.
I think
Oh
last
my
word
god!
would be-
How did I not kill anybody with that?
That's
Enjoy
not a
that.
word.
Kissel, no!
No, he'll be begging me. Kill me. Please kill me now. Like, I can't, man. I'll go to jail, dude.
So the component fell into the core, caused a chain reaction, and bathed the scientist.
Come
in
on.
radiation. The scientist
Come
lived a
on.
little bit, but died
It's gonna be
decades
an
later
annoying
of
gun to get
leukemia.
distance
Now, that's
on, I
not
tell
too
ya.
bad. But a second scientist exposed a
Actually,
year later.
no, that's not far
he would
enough.
not
Oh,
be
here
so
would
lucky.
be.
Oh yeah.
This would be
You
far
gotta
enough, I
tighten
think.
up the
This should be
strings here.
38
You
meters.
gotta make sure that this. Stop
Let's
trying
find
to-
out. Maybe I'll get one.
His nickname was like Flathead.
Oh, you'll do it.
His nickname was Flathead, and that was deserved. He had that nickname for a reason. Now, presumably, since a third nuclear bomb hadn't been necessary, this plutonium core remained an experimental object because there were bigger and better bombs on the horizon.
That's
the
not
Zeeman
happening
core
fast
kept
enough.
changing hands as the experiments
Oh.
continued. And almost a year after Hiroshima,
Enjoy
a
that.
scientist named Louis Slotin, who'd been working on the core, was in the
Nope.
process of handing
Really?
over responsibility to another
Another guy
scientist.
doing his long range, I
But
guess.
you know what? When I think of catching
Can't be
fire
mad.
onto atomic
That's what I'm
energy
doing.
Or materials, they drop stuff. Well, because the hands are actually not good for grip. I mean, they're good for gripping, but you know what? I think demons also get distracted very easily.
Yeah, again, you're hung up on the demon.
Come on,
Look
man.
at the demon Etrigan, and he wielded a sword many a
Wait.
time to great effect.
Wait.
Yeah, I
This
was a
way,
demon.
right?
What if you
I
showed-
literally
Yeah, but
played a
what-
demon for fucking
Well, then I know
years on a
this.
television
Well, then I know
show. I
that.
had
Then I
hands.
know that.
Yeah,
Man,
but did you know that? But didn't you
You
drop
would be-
stuff all the time?
you would
Yeah,
drop
because I
stuff
was
all
a
the time and you were
goofy
pissed off
character.
that you were
It
an
was
urinal.
it's like a funny character.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
Simpsons
take.
and, like,
I don't know
idiot.
what I'm
You
gonna
were
do.
also distracted by a big pair of tits.
Oh,
So
yes.
if you're holding a
Yeah,
brick
'cause I
of
was
atomic
looking down.
materials, and then very good.
Wait.
But then you're
Ah,
like, oh,
I'd rather
I'm
shoot
supposed to be
him.
doing this, and then you see tits, you're gonna drop it because you're a demon.
Yeah, but there was no tits here. It's scientists at this time. There weren't not a lot of tits in science.
We don't know that.
And if I remember from Pretty Face, most of the demons were not too
Wow.
No, and all of them were just ugly men.
So, point proven actually.
Now, for the whole time Slotin had been performing experiments on the demon core,
Jesus,
he'd
that guy was
arrogantly
in
used
there.
a flathead screwdriver during a step that required absolute precision.
This guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah,
In his
he's an
way,
asshole.
because what he did was, remember in Tommy Boy when he gets mad at the woman because
'Kay,
they
let me
you find
think.
out about
I
the
need
end
long
of the movie
distance
where
here.
Don't
she's-
spoil it.
Well, she says that she doesn't keep a filing cabinet and she just does her own specific way. That's this guy in hell, where he just was like, no, I do it this way, where it was two halves
Okay.
of non-critical
get it.
material or
Smoke.
pre-critical material
Pre-critical, yeah.
that he
Oh,
would
it's not
layer
smoke,
between each
smoke.
other, and before they
Gotcha.
could completely seal, right? Because they'd have to be together. And
no,
the
yeah,
two
he's
halves
dead.
would have to seal to create a critical reaction. He just stuck a fucking screwdriver between them.
Right.
To just, and then that's what he
Can't get anywhere
used.
near him.
And they'll all be like, hey, Louis, know you have this nickname for some fucking reason, but please don't do this anymore. And he's like, I know what I do.
Yeah.
Well, and to be fair to her, she was sabotaged by that man
I
having
know.
sex with his mother.
I know.
So
Well, Slaughton, he wore cowboy boots and blue jeans in the
Yeah,
laboratory.
he did things a little different around here.
He saw himself as a bit of a Mac. And I think he used the screwdriver as some sort of affectation.
God damn,
to
man, I can't
separate
catch a
himself
break this
from all these
game.
fucking
Just gonna
nerds.
get shot in the back the whole time.
But as it went, nerds like Enrico Fermi were warning him that if he continued using a flathead screwdriver during a complicated nuclear experiment, he'd be dead within a year.
Also, or you're gonna blow up whatever fucking city this thing's in the center of.
That wouldn't be good. This is where you need to respect the nerd. You are in the nerd land.
Yes.
You're not on the ranch where
Yes.
you think you might have a
No.
upper hand.
Yeah, I'm not looking for the best chicken wing.
No,
I'm
no.
asking for nuclear experiment advice.
This is where the nerd shines.
Yeah, Richard Feynman said the tech.
Finally.
was, quote, tickling
Oh god, I got shot. At least got a long shot.
One slip off, one slip up could set off a nuclear chain reaction that would literally.
Getting gold's the hardest. Yeah, I mean, long shots, they're an eventuality. You'll just get them over time. But getting the gold is like time consuming. It's like 3 kills without dying 10 times. Get 10, 15 point blank kills. And they're not kidding when they say point blank. They mean point fucking blank. You basically have to clip into the guy.
Right at the end of Slaughton's time.
Oh
with the
really?
Demon
We're
Core.
doing this?
As he was showing his replacement how the experiment was done,
Do I have-
Slaughton's screwdriver
yeah, I got
slipped a
cold-blooded on
fraction
this
of
guy,
an
I
inch,
think.
which set off the nuclear chain reaction that he'd been warned against for ever so long.
Can you imagine that you do that? Because then the halves slap, it just starts glowing. Like this thing just
My
starts
turn to
glowing.
camp like a knob.
Well, lunchtime, it turns out you gotta go.
Well, it
I
wasn't
can
a
even
slug,
do it
was
professionally like this guy
it was a
does.
big
But
flash.
then he
Look
had
at
to
that.
like knock it off the top. He literally had to use his bare hand to like flip the fucking thing off the top of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of what they were creating in Happy Death Day 2.
A little
You had
bit.
a chance
A
to
little
watch
bit,
that,
yes,
which I
yeah.
love them.
Yeah,
I love them.
it bathed Slaughton with a lethal dose of 1,000 rads
Wow.
of gamma radiation.
Far out.
Wow, and that was the invention of hypercolor. Fantastic shirts from the 90s. If you had tits and you were a man, oh, they let you know.
Wow, the sad, literally upside down number 3 I created with one of those thermal color shirts with my little boy tits, like ruined that shirt for me.
I
It
think
ruined
that,
it.
that was one of the flaws in the plan.
Oh, it was. It was for the delicious woman's breast.
Oh my god.
Not for a little fat
It
boy's
was
breast.
marketed to boys.
I don't like this. Can we go back to Big
And the
Map?
shitty thing was is that the
That'd be
replacement
super cool.
also got just a little bit of the radiation. Not a whole lot, but he got a little.
Yeah, you basically have to like
But
sprint and
Slaughton
slide into
died
people while shooting.
9
That's how I've
days
done it.
later, with his guts turned into a slurry of blood and decayed tissue, like so many in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Well, they don't know. They said that at this time.
Ah, this
that was the
sucks.
only
Okay, fuck
real
this. Playing.
evidence they had
I'm not
of
sitting
huge
here. This is
radiation
ridiculous.
poisoning. So they didn't. It wasn't until after the bombs had already been dropped when they were due, and then they're like, "Oh, wow."
Aw.
I mean, technically, he kind of donated his life to science.
He did.
Wait,
That's what he
what?
said. The comment, his last word, well, the
Gotcha.
words in the laboratories he did it. He's like, well, that's done. That's literally like what he said at the end of it.
Those are actually good last words.
Oh,
Scary,
okay.
too, right? Because you don't feel anything at first. You know now you're dead.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're dead. But you can't.
Oh, shit.
You don't know
Nah.
until days later, and it ain't pretty.
I would
Look
try
at
to
the-
jump on walls to see if I could stick.
You
It doesn't
do.
happen.
Because of the sloughing.
Oh, that's not a good reason to stick.
Well, Leslie Groves, he knew the details of the Demon Core incident because he was still in charge of the Manhattan Project.
We still haven't said good on the Demon Core that even though it was told it couldn't be a bomb, it could still kill you.
Yeah. And Leslie Groves was maintaining a year after the bombings that from what doctors told him, radiation sickness was a, quote, pleasant way to die.
Well, compared to what being being
All right,
Gaddafi,
there's a
having a
couple
gun
of-
shoved up your asshole, I
Yeah,
guess
sure.
it's nicer than that. Or
The only thing I will say, it's like mostly
back up
more
that lobby
pleasant
for a
than it's like,
minute.
you ever been in a scenario when your head has been kind of like
Ugh,
lodged
13
into sort of
13
like a
more
desert
long-range
scenario,
kills.
like kind of crevasse, like between
One
two
day.
rocks, and then your butthole because maybe you have been gaped or you're on vacation.
Sure,
You're
that's
with
what you would do.
your wife like
vacation.
Oh, my
your wife
podcast
says,
I'm
"We're here
listening
at our
to."
favorite river spot. I peg you here.
Yeah.
And we all know this is what happens. And then let's just say she left a bunch of honey in there, and now and a bunch of ants all
Right.
crawled up inside you, and then and they were living inside you, and then they were slowly but surely eating their way out from your esophagus, like out through your mouth, stuff like.
Right.
It's definitely more pleasant than that.
Well, maybe I
Now,
should get this
naturally,
headshot
the
and be done
horrific
with
deaths
it.
in Hiroshima and Nagasaki weren't something that the
See
United
what
States
map it is.
government wanted to be public knowledge because it destroyed the moral high ground that we've been flaunting since the end of the war, and especially since the end of the European theater.
What we understood at the time, too, is that I guess we're abandoning the moral high ground and we are just showing the world that we can blow you the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, this is a different time for America. I think they were teaching newborns how to smoke.
Crown
They
Raceway.
thought it was going to be
That's
really
pretty
good
good
for
range.
lung growth.
No, it was.
So, you
for a
know,
while.
we didn't know a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
there's some
back
long
then.
ranges,
Well,
I
at
guess.
this time, like, we had respect. And we wanted, but eventually
I should
we
be able to
wanted
get some good
respect
long-range
and
kills
fear.
here.
And we knew that, and that's the thing, is that once Hiroshima came out, once all this came out, respect went away, and all we were left with was fear.
Yep. And isn't that what Jason Voorhees has been looking for this
This
entire
whole
time?
time.
See, it was one thing to have a weapon that made a big boom to scare the Soviets. The international community, they could wrap their heads around that.
What did I say,
But it was
13
something else
range kills I
altogether
need to
to
think?
create a full-blown hell on earth in two highly populated cities, enemies or not. So Leslie Groves deflected any conversation about the after effects of the bombings by emphasizing the bad shit Japan had done.
Bam! How you like that? 87 meters.
Absolutely real.
41.14.
Unit 731, the rape of
Those are
Nanking,
too long
the
range,
Japanese-
so 11 more.
Yeah.
Did a lot of fucked up shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Leslie Groves, for America, focused on Pearl Harbor. He focused
Really?
on
You're gonna
the
do
innocent
this, eh, bud?
civilians that have been killed in the process. Speaking to the New York Times, Groves said that if Japan didn't like the way we ended the war,
Balls.
they should remember who started it.
You know,
Okay,
there
there you
is that
go.
little bit. There's a tiny bit, but again, if it had just stopped at Hiroshima, if it had,
But no, they never would have dropped it at all.
I'm just saying.
Oh, hi.
No droppy.
No, come
Someone's gonna drop.
on.
I'm not saying that.
Come
I'm
on.
just
Should have had that
saying
one.
what I said last episode. I can wrap my head around the one. It's the follow-up that changed really the entire vibe.
Hey, come
I
back.
think that's just because they
Come
named
back.
it Fat
Poke
Man.
again.
You're offended.
No, because I'm both. I'm Fat Man and Little Boy.
But that's
so
the
good.
thing is that I can't wrap my head around Hiroshima because they knew for a fact that they didn't need to drop it, and they knew that they were killing tens of thousands, if not
They
hundreds of
wanted to,
thousands of
Marcus.
civilians.
No, they wanted to.
Well,
Crazy.
let's just say they should have done some things different.
Wow, Kissel.
Yes,
Wow.
very
Right.
Hot take from
brave
Kissel.
stand.
Very good.
Yeah.
Brave. Do things different.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Gotcha.
On North Lane.
Now, the American
10?
government had
We had
put
10 kills
General
left?
Douglas MacArthur in charge of overseeing the American occupation of Japan. And MacArthur was given the directive that he could exercise his authority as he deemed proper to carry out his mission.
Oh, that's good. You want to give generals just unbelievable amounts of power for them to do anything they want.
Thankfully, MacArthur mostly ruled fairly and without cruelty. He actually instituted a lot of good things. He gave women the right to vote. He changed up their whole government. He kind of tried to make Japan like a mini America. But, I mean, the ultimate motive was to turn Japan into an American ally against the Soviets in the upcoming Cold War.
And it worked.
And it worked.
It definitely worked.
There were some solid consequences. But no matter the motivation,
43.69. Done, this is great. 9 more.
The Japanese with respect. They briefed them on
Raceway. I want to play
currency,
every map Raceway. Let's go for long
language,
range.
geography,
Let's go.
Culture. This became an
I will sit
actually
here and get my
successful Hearts and
platinum.
Minds mission, to
Let's
the point where
go.
Japanese
9 more, I
children
think.
Became enamored by American troops who gave them candy. They taught them simple English words like hello and thank you and all that type shit.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when you get kidnapped and sometimes they're nice to you.
Yeah, that's the idea.
You know, it's like, wow, today I'm
Oh. Okay, he had enough of that.
Thanks for the Salisbury steak.
I got a lot of kills there, though.
Yeah, that is.
But even though many of these interactions with American troops were pleasant,
Long shot.
the speed at which America was rebuilding Japan resulted in serious infractions
Long shot.
that any culture would find distasteful.
Is that
Yeah, 'cause now
8
you get
more?
the taste of American, of our true American ingenuity.
Ingenuity, our stick to our
Stick to it.
not even stick to itiveness, I guess a little bit of our gumption.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Needing to build an airfield in Nagasaki in an area nicknamed Atomic Field, soldiers used bulldozers to clear the ruins. Those ruins, however, were still filled with thousands of dead bodies
Long shot.
and skeletons. And they
I'm on
rushed
fire, baby.
The bulldozer operators treated the bones of the dead the same as the sand, soil, and rubble. That mixture was used in broken roads in Nagasaki which are presumably still in use today.
Wow.
And I think that's a good metaphor for marriage.
It really is.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you gotta, in order to build something new, you gotta just bulldoze through all the bad shit of the past and just build something on top of it.
Turn it into a story. You can
Oh, wow.
build on top of.
Yeah.
But then you also just see what
Okay, he knows I'm here.
shows on
Let's
the
go.
walls, that is the memories of the fights from the past.
Yeah.
Much as you see in Edinburgh, because half of their walls are just fucking human bones.
It's very interesting.
But that's the thing, is that's only if you obsess on things. That's what it is, that you don't want to obsess on the small things in the past. You just want to look at the good things that you built.
That's a nice
Oh
wall.
boy.
That's what
Okay,
you say
let's
instead
show
of,
here for a
oh,
minute.
that wall
That's
is
good.
littered with the broken bones of my ancestors and
Yeah.
all these other things. I could say, oh, nice wall.
I built
That's
something.
great.
I built something good from all the bad.
Yes, I think that's
a
really
fan-
smart.
That's
Yeah.
well.
And
I
we
can
built- and
see
we
people
built-
getting married as we speak. Wow. What a,
Yeah, they're
what a
running to the
ringing
chapel.
endorsement.
Yeah, and we built it together. So
did.
all you out there, be a bulldozer of love.
Be it.
Yeah, but if you build it together, then whatever. Then no one gets any credit.
Single.
Well, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they had far larger problems than what they were going to do with the dead. See, since so many kids have been taken out of the cities to avoid the fire bombings, mercifully missing the atomic bomb, thousands returned to the cities as so-called atomic bomb orphans, or
Oh, wow.
Ginbaku
Okay.
Koji. These children, or Ginbaku Koji, I have no idea. I don't
so
know.
am I.
These children were left to fend for themselves,
Huh.
and many became desperate. In one case, a boy drank water from flower vases in cemeteries in order to survive.
He would go on to form the Japanese version of The Cure.
Oh, well, isn't that
The most goth thing you can do.
Isn't that nice?
Others had to leave their pitiful
fuck.
shelters and cross
Le
foreign
bummer.
playgrounds that had since been used as mass cremation sites just to retrieve clean drinking water. And as a result, they walked on the ashes of human remains and bone fragments day after day in the playgrounds that they used to play.
It sounds symbolic, but it's not.
No.
Very sad.
But as it almost always goes in times of chaos and desperation, some took great advantage of these orphan children, and none were more cruel with their exploitation than the Japanese mafia, aka
Oh man, I'm flashbacks.
Oh, I've played that in video
Ugh.
games before. There's also a new sort of GTA style game where you get to play Yakuza. So I wonder if they'll have this in there.
I don't know if they will, using them taking advantage of the orphans of
What a
atomic
weird
power.
side quest.
Yeah.
What a strange side mission. I don't like it.
yeah, the pedophilic sex slavery side quest.
Yeah, it's far too realistic.
Yeah, I don't like this.
No, I'm good. I'm
This
good.
is too easy.
Now, the Yakuza had been largely inactive during the war because so many of them had been conscripted into the Imperial Army. But once the war was over, the Yakuza quickly reformed and created a thriving black market. In addition, members of the Yakuza also found themselves in positions of power. See, in rebuilding the Japanese government following the war,
Oh, that's
General
not
MacArthur
a long
attempted
shot?
to
Okay.
weed out most of the ultra-nationalist Japanese citizens from civil service. This is the same thing that we did in Germany with a policy called denazification.
But we did it on our side vaguely, but we also had the other side in Russia that were using active Nazis to prop up the governments in all of these places. And we did it too. We did do it. We brought in Nazis. We let them run
Really?
the show half the time because
Well, with denazification, we tried to take all the Nazis out. We did try it at first, but then we found like, oh shit, everyone's a Nazi, and nobody is here to run the government. No one knows how anything works, so they had no choice but to put the Nazis back in power if they wanted Germany to survive in any way
see,
whatsoever.
that's the type of shit I actually find more reprehensible than a lot of some other shit. Where it's like that's one of those things where we did just kind of let them operate fucking for a while.
There's only so many Germans there.
No, I know.
Yeah, there's only so many Germans.
You can take the Nazi. You can take the German. Wait, you can take the German
Let
out
me
of.
see him. Let me see
No,
how
you
he
can
works
take
it
the
out.
Nazi
Let me
out
see
of a
it.
German, but you can't take the German out of a Nazi. No, you can.
Wow, you're just damning yourself. You're damning your entire family.
Because a lot of Germans left, a lot of Nazis left Germany and
Oh,
went to all
lots of-
sorts of places and were still Nazis.
They did.
Yeah, you could go anywhere and be a Nazi. Even
Just
now,
an idea.
even
Just
modern
an
America.
idea. Oh, I know. Please.
Yeah. But you can't have like a 10-year-old boy running the police department in Dusseldorf.
Oh, that's cool though.
I mean, that's
Come
kind of
on,
adorable.
kid captain.
Kid Captain, all the guns are nothing but snickerdoodle balls.
Candy's free and homework's illegal.
Oh, I love this new Kid Captain.
But just as it
Five
was in
more.
Germany, MacArthur soon found that after he removed these ultranationalists, there was nobody left to keep the peace because a lot of these ultranationalists had been, unsurprisingly, cops. As a consequence, there was little to... Yeah, look at the ultra-nationalists we have in America.
Yeah.
A lot of cops.
There are some cops in there, aren't there?
I've seen some guys at the grocery store.
As a consequence, there was little to no police presence in all of Japan, so the Yakuza filled the gap. Because really, this is a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yes.
Ooh,
In one case, in
I
the
want to
city
do
of
this one.
Kogi, the Yakuza put down an uprising of formerly enslaved Koreans at the request of the mayor. This, of
Yeah,
course,
I'll
put the
try
mayor
it.
in debt to the Yakuza. But nobody in the occupational government
This
had
map
any
is
real
pretty hit or
interest in getting
miss.
mixed up with Japan's increasingly powerful criminal underbelly.
Seems like the mayor got into some political issues
Oh.
here. I think he got in a little over his head.
I think so too. I think that a lot of times I feel like a mayor in post-atomic Japan was like
Pretty overwhelmed.
Well, a lot of Japan, it's kind of like Escape from New York. You
Yeah.
know, like there's just fucking, it's all chaos, and then, you know, MacArthur comes in, it's just like, yep, anyone who's like super into Japan as, you know, a superior nation.
we don't want you
We don't
anymore.
want you can't be in there.
And now we have the Yakuza who's jumping in, and they are just straight up saying like, "Oh, this is our
Yeah.
time to make some money."
Yeah, and the Yakuza are straight up evil. Like, and we're about to get into just how evil the Yakuza could be.
It's an impossible request. Yeah. Be like, you're a Japanese citizen, hate your country.
No, not hate your country. Just don't treat your country as if it is a god.
Yeah, I
Like,
need
don't-
you to just be an American, but look like a Japanese person.
Yeah, but then it's like the person that did that just dropped 2 huge bombs on you and is requesting that you no longer.
It seems to be complex.
I think it might be complex.
It's far complex.
You know what? I
It's
think
very
it's complex.
Yeah, it's complex because Japan did,
Yeah.
after all, start the war. Well, on the negative side of the occupation, there was collaboration in both the sale of black market goods and heavy participation by the Americans in a massive sex slave trade that was created in the chaos of a ruined country that was still starving. By October of 1945, just a month after Japan's surrender, a group called the Recreation and Amusement Association had opened one of the largest brothels in the world using trafficked women posing as quasi-geishas, and American troops were regular customers. But when it came to exploitation, the Yakuza were most cruel with the children of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, who could disappear without anyone noticing or caring. Now, the orphan boys had relatively innocuous jobs. They would use shoe polish stalls as fronts to sell bootleg alcohol and heroin.
Yeah, and if that was just the only thing that was happening, there'd be part of me that'd be like, "That's fun as hell." Like, you know what I
fun as hell. Well,
mean?
that's
Orphans selling alcohol and heroin, hanging
Yeah.
out, flipping coins, being like, "What are you looking for, hooch, mister?" Like, that's fun.
Just legalize it at that point. I think booze was probably a good thing.
Well, it's not
Maybe
that,
needed.
It's not that booze was illegal.
It
It's
wasn't.
that booze wasn't really being manufactured in any
Gotcha.
specific way because all the factories were destroyed.
There's probably like not the first thing they wanted to do with the factories.
No,
Yeah.
no, they had to
Yeah.
get everything else back online.
Right.
Yeah. The girls, however, most between 8 and 11 years old, they were sold into sex slavery, either privately or in red light districts all over Japan. More often than not, after the girls were used up, to put it crudely, they would disappear, either killed or turned back out to the streets to starve.
Man, this is just fun. This is a very scary time period.
Yeah. Those orphans who weren't picked up by the Yakuza, however, starved to death by the thousands once winter came. Many died with stones in their mouths because presumably having something to suck upon was somewhat soothing.
And the Yakuza had total control over the food deliveries, and they would decide who got what, and then they would like basically take all the rations, and then they would sequester them, and they would make people line up, and then you have to buy them from them, like
Yeah.
you know.
At a highly increased price.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, the United States certainly had a vested interest in rebuilding Japan's economy and infrastructure because they desperately needed as many allies in Asia as they could get, especially since China was obviously on its way to full-blown communism by this point. But when it came to treating the radiation-related illnesses caused by the bomb dropped by the occupying forces, they opted instead for scientific research.
Well, this is why people get upset, the scientists and doctors, because
Yeah,
this is
it's
one of those things.
nasty.
Because they arrived here to try to. At first, they thought that they were coming to help, and then it turns out they were just trying to watch them melt in a
Yeah,
controlled situation.
I mean, it's disgusting. We've been doing all those experiments on special needs people for a long time, and on the old orphans of an American streets. A lot of
Honestly, I mean,
experimentation being done on human beings.
and I know I was made in a lab,
I
But
know.
I didn't ask to be this perfect.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's actually it's kind of been a burden for me, and then I didn't ask to be geoengineered.
You were kind of experimented on when it comes to heaps of pasta. And how much can one family consume?
Yeah.
And guess what? It's a nice.
It's an ice. How much pasta does it take to replace love and affection?
You know what? Up to a pound.
Yeah, I think a pound. Actually,
meal.
1 pound. Yeah, I agree with that. With a lot of carb.
With a lot of parts.
Yeah.
Well, these scientists, they weren't experimenting. They were just studying. They wanted to know the long-term effects of radiation on a large population. And in order to get clean data, they refrained from treating any and all illnesses suffered by the populations of Hiroshima and Nagasaki as a result of radiation. So in order to study these effects, an organization called the Atomic Bomb Casualty Commission was founded in 1946 to study the effects of the atomic bomb in the long term, meaning their original test subjects were mostly children and young adults.
It is
So we're
interesting.
talking about the bomb as a job creator now.
Long shot.
So there you go. Look at that.
But
Long
right
shot.
before this, they had released a report that was actually fairly thorough, explaining the Manhattan Project to the United States of America. And they sent out this like long thing, kind of explaining what atomic power was and what it does and what it's going to do. And it is interesting on what it left out because it talks about basically it ends a trinity. Like you see this big report come out and you're like, and then we did it, and
Yeah.
it does not mention the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki afterwards because this is up until then.
Very good shot for him.
Because now they're trying to figure out like
Fuck, I didn't even see him.
I mean, there's so many, again, complicated, but from a science perspective, I mean, it's a huge achievement.
it is.
Yeah.
Well, now it's because then they'll say we're using the research to figure out how to build a more humane
Of course.
bomb.
Yeah.
Of course they
Yeah,
are.
that's what a tactical nuke is. A tactical nuke is the idea is like
Humane.
spread's just small. It's a small spread. That's why when we were in Europe and they were all just all like really being like, and this is why I remember seeing a headline that was like, why tactical nukes are actually okay for you. And you're like, just I can't right now.
Well, at least once a year, for the rest of their lives, these subjects participated in examinations that usually occurred under harsh fluorescent lights, and they were always forced to strip down naked so the scientists could study every aspect of possible ill effects. In the most humiliating of exams, some were forced to stand on stage in auditoriums full of doctors and scientists. In the case of the daughter of Reverend Tanemoto, the man we mentioned last episode who was forced to meet the co-pilot of the Enola Gay on live
Got him.
she went through this mortifying indignation
All
at
right,
the age of
let's get the
13.
AK
I
plan.
actually got a really interesting email about Reverend Tanemoto and the after the fact, and that it actually helped him. He said apparently this was actually really good for him. Meeting the pilot from Enola Gay helped him put a human face on it, and there was like a whole story where they kind of like came together and figured it actually
know
was
what it
like a
reminds me
healing
of?
moment
Yeah.
in his life.
When Leif Garrett met the person that he hit when he was driving drunk, and then the guy was in a wheelchair forever, but they met on VH1, and then Leif
Yes.
got to apologize finally.
Yes.
God, what was the line me and Carolina used to say to each other all the time? Because like it's something about like fucked up, bro, or I can't.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry, bro.
fucked up, bro. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Something like that. Oh man.
Leif coming clean.
I forgive you. I forgive you.
I mean, I would be like, lift up my legs so I can kick you in the butt once.
Drinks on you.
Well, this.
You're frozen. You're both frozen in a smile like at the end of a sitcom.
After being shoved on stage in an auditorium full of doctors, and I know indignation isn't the right word there. It's bothering me. Mortifying indignation. It's not indignation.
I would say it's mortifying. Technically, it's. I know what you're saying.
Humiliation.
Desecration, humiliation,
Degradation.
Yeah.
degradation.
Degradation. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you so very
I
much.
do know words.
Mr. ACT.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a 19, baby.
19.
26 in writing, 26 in reading, 13 in math, and I believe a 12 in science.
Very good. Wow, very nice. I got a 27. But that was
Wow, it's still
Kurt
low.
Cobain committed
it's still-
suicide at 27.
no, 27 out of 32 is pretty good.
I didn't take the
I
ACTs. I
believe
didn't
it was
have
36.
to. I was in the IB program, so I didn't have to.
No, it was 32
Was it
because
32?
because I got one question away from perfect on reading comprehension.
Yeah, see, that's where I did well as well.
Yeah.
Just another completely valid bragging point.
Yes, indeed.
Especially once you're over 40.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And the kids
Dang.
don't even take them anymore.
Really?
No.
No, now
You just gotta be able to pay.
they
You
just
gotta-
like they have to go in. They have to say like vibes.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They have to pass a vibe check, and then they have to go like then they go to Zoom University, and then mostly they just go and they create destabilizing videos on the internet.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of debts as well, unfortunately.
Really?
ABCC still exists to this day as the Radiation Effects Research Foundation, although such cruel examinations as those suffered in the 50s are long in the past.
I would hope so.
These days, they mostly study the children of Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors in order to see the hereditary effects of radiation poisoning. And it's now fallen cold.
Come here, John. I just want to say, I just want to make sure how many eyes you have. Good, you still have 2.
eyes,
Flippers? Looking for flippers? Nah, no flippers, huh? Throw them away. I want a flipper one.
I would assume it does go through the generations if
It
you
does.
take into account lead poisoning.
Oh no, it mutates to all of your shit inside of you. It involves your entire body.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the press went concerning Hiroshima and Nagasaki, General MacArthur was able to keep a lid on the worst effects for a fair amount of time, longer than you'd think. See, while the Japanese press were freer than they'd been under the imperial government when it came to censorship, they still weren't allowed to report any details about the after effects of the bombings. Likewise, foreign reporters had to submit all reports to occupation censors for approval. But with such a massive story involving so many people, the truth was bound to get out eventually. And the year after the bombing, 2 journalists almost got the stories of Hiroshima and Nagasaki out to the rest of the world, but both were stopped just short of publishing by the government. The man who finally got the word out, though, was a Pulitzer Prize winner in fiction named John Hersey, who not only brought the story of the bombings to the world, but revolutionized nonfiction writing with his report on Hiroshima. He was the man who was said to have created the new journalism, and the story he wrote on Hiroshima is considered by the New York Times in a list they did in 1999 as the best piece of journalism of the 20th century.
What's incredible because it was an extremely closely held secret. It was one of our. How do we put this? Later on, we discover many layers of kind of shame that America would experience, but this was like obviously it was a very, very big one.
Now, in a poll conducted a week after the bombings, 85% of Americans approved of the use of the atomic bomb. Strangely enough, 5% didn't care. They had no opinion one way or another.
What happened?
There's always those people.
Oh yes, 5% who literally was like, there was a world war?
That's weird.
There was 2?
Yeah, there were
This is the sequel?
There were stories of like people who lived in the Ozarks who like had no fucking clue. They had no idea what was going on.
No, tell me what got like,
That's the dream.
And he's still with the census, like, his voice still counts.
It does. Moonshine.
That's a merc.
Well, journalists thereafter repeated the government line that Hiroshima and Nagasaki were symbols for the
Meat
birth of a
grinder.
future dedicated to peace, progress, and reconciliation with the rest of the world.
It did end old Japan, so I suppose the only other step is a new one.
Well, that perspective changed with John Hersey. Hersey had been a war correspondent embedded with Allied forces during the invasion of Sicily. In addition, he'd survived 4 plane crashes and had assisted in evacuating wounded soldiers in Guadalcanal.
Well,
Yeah,
you also
tell me when he's embedded with the enemy, okay?
yeah. But the thing is that he did believe, he saw that the World War II story that we were all getting was not quite as clean cut as what was really happening. Is that he went there and he realized, which is kind of.
All here's like
this
the
story, I think, is
pull
kind of
open this
symbolic.
page.
This war
Oh,
was
quiet.
fucked
Don't be
up,
too loud.
Yeah.
What's
Like,
up?
And while this was supposedly
I'm
the
streaming.
last, like, quote unquote, like, good one or whatever,
I'm on
like,
YouTubing and
This was
Twitching.
the most fucked up war that ever existed.
it was fucked up. What everybody had to go through.
And
Everybody went through a lot of bullshit fighting this war.
Yeah.
And especially like like all of the American soldiers.
Oh,
and yeah,
hello.
they now have the veneer of
Give me a
being
nice kitty.
heroes at the time, but the shit they saw
Wanna put her
was
down?
wild.
Oh, she
And
wants
then they
down.
weren't allowed to talk about it when they came back because then that would you throw shame upon this quote unquote great thing that you did.
And the Americans didn't even see the worst shit. I mean,
We got in late.
the worst, they say that the worst place to be in the entire war was Poland.
Poor cat.
Oh, so yeah.
Like Poland was absolutely like if you were in Poland during World War II, you were in one of the worst places in the entirety of human history, in the entire history of the world.
Yeah, I feel like just Auschwitz being there. Like Auschwitz, a place you can take a voluntary train to. It's like
Poland.
not a place I want to be.
There's a lot of Polish people that love those Nazis.
Yeah,
They
they
did.
were.
It's true.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, and that's part of what made it so much worse.
Yeah.
Well, having seen
Fucking
his
Polish.
Hey, we were so surprised. Like, again, they walked in backwards. They told us they were leaving.
Auschwitz, Warsaw, so much horrible shit happened in Poland.
Dachau over there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dachau was Dachau was in Germany.
Oh,
That
that
was
was
the
Germany,
first
yeah.
of them. Well, having seen his fair share of war, Hersey suspected that there was far more to the official story concerning what had actually happened after the bombs detonated at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Hersey knew the human face of war, and his journalistic instincts twitched when he noticed that the only pictures coming out of either city were only of destroyed buildings and bare ruins. In other words, there were no pictures of people.
Honestly, if I could teleport one journalist to this as well, Hunter S. Thompson. Peak Hunter S. Thompson.
Well, this is kind of
This
where
guy
he
is
came
kind
out of.
Right.
This is the generation he came out of.
It's
This is the
narrative.
time.
Is it fair to say it's narrative journalism?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of narrative journalism. Yeah, the new journalism, as they put it.
What's that?
And so, in the summer of 1946, nearly a year after the bombings, Hersey was granted a 2-week pass.
Oh,
to
Shoot
visit
House,
Hiroshima
what
so he
up?
could see and hear
Hello,
what had
Shoot House,
actually
my
happened.
old
He had a backstage pass.
friend.
Did he get a lanyard?
I honestly, he better have.
I'm gonna shoot so
He
many
interviewed
houses.
every minute
You
of
have no
fucking
idea.
Seriously.
He interviewed 40 survivors as to what
We're
they
gonna
experienced
pack it in at
during
about
and
8.
since
We'll
the
go up
bombings.
and
But
do that,
eventually,
do the
inspired
garbage
by
and the
a book
recycling and all that,
called
and get ready
Bridge
for
of
bed.
San Luis Rey that he'd read
Yeah,
on
it's
the
like
ship
40
to
minutes. We got time.
Hiroshima. He focused
Lots
on
of
the stories
time.
of 6 people, including that of Reverend Tanemoto. But after writing what amounted to a horror story, Hersey did not submit the finished article to the government.
Hey, don't blow me up,
censorship
alright?
clearance.
Cool?
Instead, he said fuck 'em and gave the
That's
story
not cool.
directly to the
Oh, I
New
lived.
Yorker, who dedicated an entire issue to Hersey's unflinching portrait of Hiroshima.
So he's a whistleblower.
Yeah,
He was.
the article was soon published as a book, and it was so definitive, so harrowing, and so well written that it's probably the reason why the focus is still mostly
Yeah, right
placed on
there.
Hiroshima to this day.
Well, we got that. Got incredible testimony.
Yeah. But either way, Americans were, for the first time, exposed to the realities of
That sucks
atomic
for me.
warfare. Human stories were finally attached to the bombings at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which caused a reckoning across America over what their government had done. But if the average American felt guilt and shame over Hiroshima, it was nothing compared to what some of the scientists at the Manhattan Project, the ones who'd known exactly what they were doing, they were feeling quite a few feelings.
I thought
As
you were
they
gonna
should.
say- I thought you were going to say the Germans. You're like, yeah.
As one scientist put it, he wept as he read the story.
Oh,
and he was
okay.
filled with shame to, quote, recall the Wookiee spirit that the team had after the bombing had been successfully detonated over a highly populated city.
Again, they sort of understood what the fuck they were making. They sort of understood it. I do think in that way they knew that they needed to make it blow up, but they just thought again, it's blowing up. It's just gonna blow up.
It's a bomb.
It's a bomb. We're just making it. We're no different than hundreds of thousands of other people making bombs right now.
Yeah, no different from the guys firebombing Tokyo or Dresden or whatever. They're just making a bomb, it's going to blow up, and then that's it. But while Hersey brought the story of Hiroshima to the world, the effect it had on a lot of Americans was less sympathy than fear. In other words, a lot of Americans started worrying about what would happen to us.
Goddamn. I hate
It does make sense for self-preservation.
Long
measures.
range kills
It does seem like it's
suck.
getting a little
Boo.
Yep, the wonders of the atomic age quickly turned into Cold War paranoia and fear, and the justification of a nuclear arms race was shifted from beating the Germans to the bomb to having a larger nuclear
Maybe-
arsenal than the Soviets.
Yeah, why didn't the kids of Hiroshima and Nagasaki just get under their desk?
I feel like
Because
that's
I was
the
told you
thing.
just get under
Oh,
your desk.
get under
You
your
put your
desk.
hands
Your
on
hands behind your head. Yeah, that's how you protect yourself.
Like that.
It is
No way
interesting.
is that completely fucking useless.
It's also interesting because this is technically, in his way, Robert Oppenheimer, in his way of kind of figuring out how to get himself out of his own moral quandary after all of this, was like, well, that's why everyone should have atomic bombs. Because then we'll never have war ever again.
Proliferation.
Now, if everybody has an atomic bomb, then everybody knows that if I use my atomic bomb, they're going to use their atomic bomb,
And you know what
we're
you
all
gotta
going
have?
to be a crater.
A couple of carve-outs for Iran. And then, I think it's basically it.
I just feel that That wasn't the answer.
Iraq had yellow cake.
It did not.
No, it didn't.
Nope, it had nothing. They were not. You know what's funny?
They don't even eat cake.
You know what I just?
they do.
You know what I just learned? Remember when they supposedly found the mobile chemical weapons labs?
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, "There's ammonia in here. They could have used it to clean up." You know what the ammonia was?
What's that?
Someone had pissed in there.
Yeah.
I'm Hans Blix. Man, they call me Hans Piss.
Someone found my piss bucket.
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone had just emptied out the truck. Someone just used it as a toilet, and that was used in Colin Powell's speech to the UN to justify the Iraq War.
Hey, our intelligence community is almost never correct.
Also, speaking of whistleblowers, 70% of meat in America used to not be allowed, but now they spray with ammonia, so they allow it for human consumption. It used to only be allowed for dog food, so that's why we're dying this way.
Huh, interesting.
So be very careful.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, just give it to me.
Rise from your grave.
Between 1946 and 1958, the
Well,
U.S.
36
government
meters.
detonated 23 nuclear devices in a series
We
of
got it to
tests that
38,
ranged
right?
from the Pacific Ocean to the deserts of Nevada and Utah. And all
Run.
of these tests caused cancer rates to skyrocket in the surrounding area.
Also
yeah, guys,
brought
don't
us-
we know already?
It definitely brought us to the attention of the reticulans and the grays.
How?
We'll get to it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that they're
Are we going to get to that in this episode?
Yes.
well, the thing is they're detonating these things in places where they don't care about the people. They're detonating this shit next to reservations.
Yes.
You know, they don't give a shit what happens if it, if it fucking blows onto a
where,
reservation.
I know,
quote
and they
unquote, where people, quote unquote, are not supposed to be living. That's kind of what they do.
It is horrible what we've done to the Native American,
Yes.
and we continue to do it. They just lost water rights again because Kavanaugh said that it was in 1854. There was a treaty.
Wow.
It was like in 1893. He's like, we better uphold that treaty.
I feel like we
It's
should.
like, oh
There
my
should be a
fucking
cutoff
God.
of what counts. I think 1990. I think that's the
sure.
cutoff. I think that's the
you know what we
cutoff.
could do with the Native American a redo.
Yeah.
And be like,
Yeah.
let's redo it.
Renegotiate.
Renegotiate.
That's fucking insane. We're still using treaties to fuck
Yes.
over the tribes.
Yeah, for water.
That's incredible. Yeah. Well, the fallout from these tests were so pervasive that a film crew working on the set of the John Wayne movie The Conqueror, in which John Wayne, in which John Wayne laughably plays Genghis Khan.
The name is Genghis Khan, you governor.
I feel like he sucks.
He
I
does.
tried to watch John Wayne movies growing up, and I don't
sucks.
like
John Wayne's a fucking Nazi.
He's-
It's just like they said in the song. John Wayne is a Nazi.
You know what it is too? He's passe in a world where we don't really care about like that form of like machismo actor anymore.
No, I'm
Where
fine
he
with
just,
The Rock. He's more masculine than him.
I don't feel he is as compelling in future analysis than he was at the time. Because at the time he was like a #1 movie star.
Yeah.
They love the Western thing. They love this idea. But now you watch it and you're like, actually, he doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do
He
anything.
gets off a horse. He walks over there. He kind of squints. It's like, and honestly, Clint Eastwood for me does the same bit, but he does it better. And then he did a
does
whole
do it
movie
better.
with an orangutan.
He does do it better. And that's why my grandfather Herbert never liked John Wayne. But he just didn't like him because he was an actor.
He didn't like acting.
Yeah, John
That's what
Wayne.
I'm sure all of our grandparents were like, he's just a fucking actor.
Yeah.
No, honestly, my grandfather knew him very well.
Did he really?
Really?
Yeah, they hung out. My mom met him like 3 or 4 times.
John Wayne?
Yeah, John Wayne.
John
'Cause
Wayne was an incredible racist, a fascist, and a coward.
Yeah.
Go on, Henry. How
Very
does your
tall.
family know him?
Extremely tall, big hands.
6'3".
My grandfather used to work as a PR person for Pepsi. He
I
was
know
head
that.
of the relations for Pepsi. So he knew John Wayne, he knew Henry Kissinger, he knew fucking Ronald Reagan, he knew Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford. They have
I
a whole
love
bunch of pictures.
Joan.
There's pictures of my grandfather
great.
with Marilyn Monroe. He knew her. He knew a couple of the Kennedys. He was strange. He was
Apparently, Mama Dearest is alive.
yes.
Mommy
It
Dearest?
is,
Yeah.
it is
Apparently,
strange.
it's alive.
It's strange.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the people who worked on The Conqueror, which is widely considered one of the worst movies ever made, they developed cancer at a far younger age than was normal because they filmed in the Utah desert near a nuclear bomb testing site. Yeah. And that's like,
For some reason, I don't know if movies should be filmed in deserts anymore.
It's cool.
well, I mean, they say that, some people say that this is a myth because the film crew died at the same rate as the general population of
Or got
cancer.
cancer
They
at the
got
same rate.
cancer at the same rate. I think it's like 22%, but they died far younger than many people died of cancer. Yeah.
It would change the math there a little
It
bit.
does, yeah.
And it depends on what they're doing on set.
Regardless, though, the first of these tests was Operation Crossroads, in which the government blew up a bunch of captured Japanese and German battleships just to see what the bomb could do to purely military targets and what it could do underwater.
Sort of a fun day.
No, not Broseph.
And it made SpongeBob. Oh.
This test, however, would be better known by its location, Bikini Atoll. And my papa was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
did nothing to stop it.
Absolutely. What would you do if you could stop the atomic bomb testing? Absolutely nothing, Mr. Burks.
Yeah, he was present as a sailor in the Navy. And that's also where the name Bikini comes from, as the Bikini was released like a couple of weeks after Bikini Atoll, and the inventor was like, that's a great name.
It's sweet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gotta see them titties.
When I think of the greatest generation, I always say I want to see them in bikinis.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yes, indeed, Roosevelt.
What is it? You sitting on a skunk? Oh, Eleanor, you gotta maintain them tan lines.
Hey.
However, it would be the second test held at Bikini Atoll in 1954 that would have a huge cultural impact the world over. Having moved on from the atomic bomb, the United States had started testing a far more powerful nuclear weapon called the hydrogen bomb, or for short, the H-bomb.
Yeah, because there was one dude within the Manhattan Project was like, I feel that my bomb is more superior in ideas. And they're like, listen, we're already working on a thing. And then this guy just went and built a bigger bomb than the atomic bomb.
You know, it's funny, the guy who actually started the earliest research on the H-bomb was Klaus Fuchs, who was the man who was a spy for the Soviet Union.
Ah, yes.
Well, during an underwater H-bomb test called Operation Castle, a Japanese fishing boat was destroyed, and the survivors were showered with radioactive fallout in a blast that was 1,000 times more powerful than those above Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Of course, they died. This incident inspired a huge anti-nuclear testing movement in Japan, not least due to the fact that 2 years earlier, the censorship ban on the full scope of what happened at Hiroshima and Nagasaki had finally been lifted. The people of Japan finally knew what the fuck had happened there.
Wow.
And as a result, a movie director named Ishiro
Oh,
Honda
this map's kinda,
translated the power and ruination of the atomic bomb into an unstoppable creature named Gojira.
What's that?
That's good noise.
Alright, you want to do me a favor, Brody? You want to turn that fan back on? Because I'm cooking.
Yeah, I do it at home all the time. It's
I
one of my
get it.
favorite noises in the world.
Yeah. Wanted to be a fly on the wall.
That's a cum noise? That's...
I'm a Godzilla. I'm a Godzilla.
Godzilla, perhaps from Center Earth, Middle Earth. We just simply don't
No,
know.
they just retconned all that fucking shit.
No,
Okay.
no, Godzilla is from deep in the Pacific Ocean, and he was down there for millions of years, 2 million years, as they put it in the movie. And then when the Americans started testing the H-bomb, that's when his habitat cracked open. They destroyed his habitat, and that's when he came up. And
Thank
started
you,
destroying
Brody.
Japan.
Well, why
Yeah.
did he destroy Japan? He technically should have come to the U.S.
He was grouchy. He was woken up.
It's gonna be loud. Sorry, but I'm hot as hell.
Japan was the closest island available.
I can't imagine how grouchy it would be after a 2 million year nap.
No, he wasn't napping. He was out there. He was fucking around. He was having a good time. He was propagating his species.
Being a Godzilla.
Yeah, that's what they said. There were a bunch of Godzillas out there.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
Oh,
In creating
fuck.
Godzilla and setting him loose in Tokyo, Honda recreated the helplessness felt by the Japanese in the face of the unfathomable strength of a nuclear weapon. And he, in fact, used the real-life incident of the destroyed fishing boat as direct inspiration for the opening scene in the first Godzilla movie, which, if you haven't seen, is fucking incredible.
Of all those old school movies, the horror movies, the sci-fi movies, Godzilla, the original, holds up like a motherfucker. It's got really great scenes, which genuinely is creepy and scary, but also like it's got great scale. That's like Penguin movies with bait.
Yes, indeed. It holds up like Christian then. If it holds up like a motherfucker.
I will eventually do my deep dive in Christian.
And you'll do it alone.
Disgusting.
It's the only way to do it. It is indeed. I have to be alone.
I agree.
Well, as a side note, perhaps the most telling line in Godzilla
What?
came from a moment on a train between two commuters who were speculating on the destruction Godzilla might cause in Tokyo, right before he unleashes his fiery atomic breath on the nation's capital. That's the cool thing about it. There's all of these like atomic bomb like nods where he has this atomic breath that sets everything on fire, destroys everything. But basically, this woman on the train says, I barely escaped the atomic bomb at Nagasaki, and now I gotta deal with this?
Was there anyone that said it's
Aw, dang.
No, absolutely
this is
not.
cathartic?
No,
No, they were extremely ready.
It's extraordinarily cathartic. This happens again and again with people. I mean, think about how many, fucking 9/11 movies there were, like 2 or 3 years after 9/11.
I mean, I think Nicolas Cage had that one about a year after, and then
I mean, they were all awful. They were completely unnecessary. But
Yeah, they were.
But this is just what happens to cultures. Like in the years after 9/11, look at American cinema was nothing but disaster porn for 2 decades.
oh, it still is.
Yeah, it
It's
still
all
is.
Marvel
Like all we see is just the destruction of cities, the destruction of the world over and over and over again.
Isn't
This
it
is
kind
just
of
what happens.
relaxing in a way, though? In my way, I kind of like it.
In a way,
yeah,
it's
it's
relaxing.
the total destruction of everything. Because then you just keep moving. Because in the end, you got to pay taxes.
Yeah. But in this line, I think that this woman gave voice to what a lot of people in Japan felt at the time.
Oh,
American
shit.
testing
Oh,
the
yeah.
H-bomb in the Pacific was directly affecting them. It was poisoning their food supply. The fish, they couldn't eat it out of the fucking ocean because it was radioactive.
Well, now they just do that to Americans.
Yeah, and well, they also got quite a bit of it as well.
Yeah, they got
the least of
fucked up.
it.
Yeah, they got fucked up.
Yeah. And the Americans were killing even more Japanese civilians. And this was all while the
What?
Japanese were still dealing with the long-term effects of the first 2 bombs the Americans had dropped. And while Japan was dealing with its own trauma, America was having somewhat of a reckoning concerning the men who actually built the bomb.
Oh yeah, they propped them up, and they were happy to have them, and then they decided to destroy them from the inside out.
Now, perhaps it was America's unconscious guilt over the horror their country had unleashed upon hundreds of thousands of people. But by the 50s, America had begun to turn on the man who'd been the most responsible for constructing the bomb. That man was J. Robert Oppenheimer, and his reckoning came in the form of the Red Scare.
Ah!
J. Robert Oppenheimer at the time was a
That's my
career-
back. Why'd you shoot me in the back?
He was kind of like angling. They were talking about.
Oh
like,
my God.
he could be president. Like Einstein.
I don't know where I'm being
they
shot
were
from.
ready,
This is
because
terrifying.
He wanted to get involved in all of these various. Basically, he wanted to
Jesus.
figure out how do I control how we legislate things around atomic power from here on out. He's like, I want people to hear my opinion and move forward. But it is interesting because then he made a bunch of weird.
I hate this
moves
map.
That kind of his communist group kind of kicked him out because for a while he was like, we need to do nuclear proliferation. We need to give out the secrets to everybody. But eventually, he came around to this idea of like, all right, we'll keep it an American secret. But if I get in there, maybe if I get inside of the U.S. government, I can kind of direct policy from the inside out. And what is everybody who discovers? What happens when you go on the inside is that you're irrevocably corrupted by the machinations of the government. So as soon as you get on the inside,
Only so much
trying
you
to
can
fix
do.
it all, eventually you're just playing the same games as fucking everybody else because them games are as old as town. There's a big club.
Well, I don't want to be in it.
You ran for office.
I don't want to be. Well, that was for Brooklyn Borough president, and that was a fantastic experience. And Eric Adams is a total failure.
Yep.
Yes, he is.
So there you go, everybody. You two can get 1 point first.
That is.
Well, as we've established time and again, Robert Oppenheimer wasn't a communist, but he was friends with a lot of communists back in the 30s, when being a communist wasn't dangerous or even all that strange.
He was stupid to communists.
Yeah, like the parties. He wanted to go bang a bunch of hot commie chicks.
Yeah. A lot of people back in the 30s, they were flirting with communist ideology because of the Great Depression. For example, when my family cleared out the house of some of my Oklahoma Dust Bowl ancestors back when I was a kid, we found multiple books on communism openly displayed on their bookshelf.
Oh my God! How are you not dead?
To me, you look like, oh look, we're interested in shit. I mean,
No, it's not
we're
that.
interested in shit.
No, it's not that at
His
all.
family, what? Dirt the Dust Bowl side.
I know.
No, I mean, these were fucking survivors, and they were also, they were smart people at the same time.
Oh yeah, in communism, honestly, in times of need, you're kind of like, this would be a great time. This would be great if the government could come and help us all come together and we can share
I think that we
resources.
could use a 5% dollop. I mean, we're not even giving kids lunches anymore.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
We could take a scoop out of the little ice cream there.
I think so.
I mean, for these people, capitalism had obviously failed so horribly,
Miserably.
so miserably that the consequences of capitalism was dust pneumonia.
Oh, yeah.
People were drowning in dust.
That's horrible. Man, that's a whole other thing on lockdown.
Man, there's
I don't want to die in dust.
Hey, we won!
a
Yeah.
lot of bad shit in this series.
I don't want to fucking die by drowning in dust.
Yeah, dust pneumonia is a horrible way to die. But by the mid-50s, America was gripped by the Red Scare, and of course led by Wisconsin Senator Joseph McCarthy.
Crash Bandicoot skin.
And his
You
totally
nerd.
straight lawyer, Roy Cohn. Completely straight. Totally.
Oppenheimer came into the Red Scare crosshairs in particular because he'd previously pissed off a McCarthy ally named Louis Strauss.
No one liked his weepy fucking attitude. Nobody liked him. Nobody. They were all over him because especially when he went to Truman, and there's that classic story where he walked into Truman's office and he's just like, the blood on my hands, I can't believe. And then Truman throws him out of the office, and he tells all his aides, don't let that motherfucker back in this office ever again. The blood was on my hands. I dropped the bomb. He just made it. Like it was this thing where it's like, so Oppenheimer wasn't making himself a popular.
Chris Chan met with Truman? Now that's a comic book.
But the other thing, on the other side though, everyone fucking hated Louis Strauss as well.
Nobody liked anybody.
But I will
No
say,
one liked MacArthur.
McCarthy showed he was like he's like a Ted Cruz.
Yes.
He was like actually maybe worse.
He's like
I'm not sure.
powerful, but still everybody hates him.
Far worse than Ted Cruz.
Just not far worse. But it does show you the
It just shows
power.
how bad Ted Cruz is. You know what I mean? It shows how
Hellborn.
he
Oh, I
doesn't
love
have
this
the
one.
ability to be a
I think.
It shows you the power of just having a suitcase you don't open.
That's it.
It literally is just the Howie Man.
Just full of snakes.
It was full of it really was porno mags and booze.
Well, Louis Strauss had a grudge against Oppenheimer because Oppenheimer had openly ridiculed one of Strauss's recommendations on atomic research during a public congressional hearing in 1951.
So we're getting a little sensitive here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Krauss was, I mean, he was butthurt. To put it very, very, I hate that term. I fucking can't stand it.
But it
In
worked
this
for
case, he
him.
was butthurt.
Yes, in this case, yeah. Well, Strauss took this slight personally, and using previous intelligence that Oppenheimer had consorted with communists in the 30s, Strauss soon became convinced that Oppenheimer was a secret commie. And he got to work convincing others that Oppenheimer was a secret commie.
And there's no
Guys, I'm going
because
to tell you this right now. There's no such thing as a secret communist.
they tell
let
you.
you know.
They tell
Is this
you
the
immediately. It's
refinery
like
one?
But it's like, no, Oppenheimer.
Oh, yeah, this is
has
the-
been fighting
no, it was-
being called a communist this entire fucking time.
I
was like,
remember
went
this
to meetings
one.
back in the day. My girlfriend was one.
Look at a picture of Rebecca. You telling me you won't be a communist?
Like, seriously, I was not with nerds anymore.
Dude, if I married Gwyneth Paltrow somehow,
You're gonna end up with a jade egg inside of you somewhere because
Exactly.
that's what the family does.
and you guys just don't get it.
I don't know, Henry. The fucking communists I knew in New York were the biggest fucking nerds I knew.
Different.
Oh,
this
they
is
are.
better.
They are.
This is when it was cool.
But they were funny, and they all worked at bookstores.
I don't even know what's shooting
They
me.
did great, yeah, they did great fucking stuff for unionizing the Strand and all
They
that.
did.
Like they were amazing. They were fucking nerds.
That's the idea. You have to, because with a capitalist, you don't have to read a book to be a capitalist. You just have to have big tits, a great idea, and you can make it all the way to the top. It's
better if you don't.
But a communist, you do have to read a lot of stuff.
You do too much reading.
Yeah, you gotta read a lot. You gotta be able to comprehend. Now, as I said a few episodes back, scientists in the Manhattan Project with Soviet ties, this was not without precedent. Theoretical physicist Klaus Fuchs, as I said earlier, he'd been a key member of the Manhattan Project's inner circle, and it was discovered in 1949, years after we dropped the atomic bomb, that he'd been feeding information to the Soviets from day one.
Yeah, they were already like only 2 years out.
Yeah, this information had allowed the Soviets to cheat their way to nuclear weaponry an estimated 7 to 10 years sooner than if they'd been left to figure it out on their own.
And if they had just figured out an actual peaceful way of negotiating, working on this, because that was the problem with the Potsdam Conference. They were trying to figure out, like, what do we do with nuclear weapons? And let's just say the Soviet Union wasn't being super chill. And so not that we were, because we just killed fucking 500,000 people using it.
No, but the Potsdam Conference was before all this.
But there's a part of the conversation of like, oh, you know what we'll do? Like after the fact, they're trying to figure out all these negotiations. It ain't working out.
Well,
Fuck,
well,
man.
not only that, but like Truman had hinted to Stalin. Like Truman was like, he thought that he had,
Had his number.
he had a bomb, to drop on Stalin, like where he was going to hit, we've got this, this super weapon that we're about to use on Japan. He thought that Stalin was going to shit his pants. Stalin already knew all about it
Yeah.
because of Klaus Fuchs.
It's already public
And
information.
then Stalin just showed him a picture of a little dog named Laika. Is it Laika?
You're the one in space.
Laika. Yeah.
This was years later. This is much later.
Yeah, Laika wasn't alive at that point.
Laika was dead.
He wasn't born yet.
Really? wonder how old Michael was before they shot him up into space.
I think he was only like 3 or 4. I think he was
What did
pretty.
he do with the puppy?
But I had a whole point.
Oh,
I had like a whole point. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember
But
it.
Stalin. But Stalin, the Soviet Union, the U.S., and we were fighting.
I really hope I'm just
Soviet Union was
tired.
all mad.
They got it 7 to 10 years earlier than they should have.
Because Stalin already knew because this fucks guy.
I like Stalin's mustache.
It's a good mustache.
Man, I will say, about World War II, powerful moments for the mustache.
Oh, yeah.
All different kinds.
Some mustaches are so powerful they can't be repeated.
Unless you're Michael Jordan.
Yeah, you
You
remember.
literally have the Nazi stash in a Hanes commercial. What are you going to do?
Again, he's allowed. He is the one American as well.
But that's the thing, though, about Klaus Fuchs and feeding the information to the Soviet Union. It could be argued that objectively it was a good thing in the long run because it was the only thing that kept America from using nuclear weapons during the Korean War.
Oh, yes. But J. Robert Oppenheimer was basically saying his message was the map is already there. They're going to get it no matter what. It's obvious. He's like, it's already there. From the theoretical papers, you can automatically extrapolate what you need from the board to make a bomb. So he was like, there's no even reason to keep a secret because anybody can figure it out.
Isn't that why the Korean War is the forgotten war, though?
Why?
Because we didn't bomb anybody.
I think it's because I know I'm a moron, but it's because any other war for the most part I can give you at least a basic, very basic rundown of like what it was about and what happened during it. For the most part, for America, the Korean War, no idea.
It's still a proxy war gone fucking out of hand.
It's very complicated. Yeah, and it's extremely complicated, and it never ended.
Also, in North Korea right now, it's officially illegal to commit suicide.
Wow!
They'll kill your whole family if you do.
That's kind of fun.
I was about to ask how they were going to enforce that, but
Yeah,
wow,
they
that
kill
is
the whole family.
one hell of a punishment.
That's a really good idea. If you hate your aunt, just kill yourself.
Also, if you survive, they kill you. That's true. That's a weird. Life is weird.
And
It is.
they kill you, but do they kill you and kill your family?
Oh, I think they kill you. Yeah, there's.
Ah!
No, that's incredible.
This is good. If you.
Man, if I went to North Korea though, I'd be able to play like professional basketball.
I don't think that you would be able to do anything.
You see me like playing like dunking on people and stuff. That'd be awesome.
No,
they make the
you don't-
hoops.
no,
the hoops
it's
in North
the
Korea are
hoops
still
the same,
No,
yeah.
they're like 6.5 feet.
It's not the moon. You still can.
No, I jump higher.
No, I don't.
I'm less gravity then.
But even though there was an ever-growing cabal determined to ruin Oppenheimer's reputation, General Leslie Groves, a loyal friend, even if he was a little bit evil at times, he stressed his emphatic belief that Oppenheimer's blood ran red, white, and blue.
We had many opportunities to fuck everything up, and he didn't.
Yeah. But even so, a 4-week
Come
security
on.
hearing was held in 1954.
Uh.
Oppenheimer should be allowed to keep his security clearance. And by a vote of 2 to 1, Oppenheimer was pushed out of the government atomic research game.
Wow, it was just a 3-person panel. Hey.
Eventually, though, the government came back around on Oppenheimer. In 1963, JFK presented Oppenheimer with the Enrico Fermi Award for Scientific Excellence.
Nice. And here's your fucking trophy.
Yeah.
Hey, trophies are a big deal.
The funny thing, though, is that, the
Fuck.
historians think that had it not been for the Red Scare, it would have been...
Any long-range kills with a gun is
probably
not
be
good
president
long
in the United
range.
He was
That
too weird
sucks.
to be president.
But Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson.
If
But
you're
that-
talking about weirdos who have been president,
But that was long before. That's the thing, is that was long before anybody actually knew what the president was like.
yeah.
That was like 1900 or
I'm
something.
just saying, he was a weirdo.
It was more like 1911.
Well, he was the one that really brought in the fucking corporatocracy.
Yeah, weird long nose, tiny glasses.
Yeah. KKK member.
Oh wow! Wow!
Wow!
Or at the very least, KKK sympathizer, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what they say. You know what you call a person who puts up with Nazis?
A Nazi.
That's right.
Yeah, if one man sits 9 Nazis at a table, you have 10 Nazis at a table.
That's right.
Bold statements.
2 years later, though, Oppenheimer was diagnosed with lung cancer due to his chain smoking. And by 1967, he was dead, although he had been vindicated.
Jesus Christ.
And really
Can't
nice,
even make it
Marcus.
to fucking
Really
Woodstock.
nice.
Yeah.
He was dead.
He was
He
dead.
was dead.
Okay.
And clouds of crows
Did he melt? At any point did he slough?
Yeah, what else fucking worse happened? His fucking brain went to a place where they fucking euthanized a bunch of like blind children.
But he was
dead.
vindicated by the scientific community by the end of it. His place in history, however, in full retrospect, is complicated to say the least, and will likely remain so forever.
I know it'll be very quickly wrapped up in that 3-hour movie.
I know,
And
I'm very
and that
excited.
movie's gonna tell us all what happened, and we're all gonna be like, oh, Robert Oppenheimer, you're the best guy.
I have some faith
No,
in this
it's gonna be-
feature film. It also comes out on my birthday.
That's nice. Well,
I already got tickets.
the person who wrote American Prometheus came out of it and said that it was highly historically accurate.
Oh, sure,
They
sure.
said that it's a chilling movie.
No, of course, yeah, Christopher Nolan's not gonna fuck it up. I am excited.
I mean, he could.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, again, send us money.
Yes.
Send us money.
Yeah.
For it.
Yeah, all we're doing is making it. I just gave an advertisement.
Yeah, we did.
For-
we don't.
for
We
the
get
fucking
nothing.
movie.
We get
And
nothing.
I haven't
No, we
even
never
seen it
get
yet.
anything.
Yeah, you're on strike. You shouldn't even be working, Christopher Nolan.
Well, it's not. That's strike. Sorry, you tell me.
Whatever it is. All right, so now my turn.
Your turn for a bit.
It's really quick. You know what's
We're getting into the grays now.
big into this entire. Listen, okay. So number one, what happened? Alright.
What, we just did 6 episodes. With what?
What are we even talking about?
We're
right?
talking about the atomic bomb. and
Number
Hiroshima
two,
and Nagasaki.
you know what we've been talking about this whole time? Opening up Universal Quest
Oh my god.
to alien attack.
So many
I
explosions.
believe it's possible.
So we now know 1945. Sure, Bob, big deal.
And let's go ahead
huge deal.
and let's
Big
go
deal
ahead and
for
say let's put on top of this, let's put a veneer of respectability due to the fact that alien, or at the very least unidentified aerial phenomena, have been proven to be in existence.
Well, now
There's a veneer of respectability
We're
to
starting.
Henry.
Sure, I agree.
Say,
If
I'm already in.
basically, if what David Grush's current whistleblower is talking about is remotely true, there is a whole chapter of American history that is also then true, which is really fucking
Alright,
wacky.
one more game.
One of those chapters, one of the couple of serious pages in that chapter, we will definitely be talking about with seriousness if David Grush's stuff comes out to be actually vaguely real.
And he's the new whistleblower.
He
He's
is.
just on television.
It is what happened July 3rd, 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico.
Yes.
Now we know that on the Brazel farm that sunny desert day, an object that they did not comprehend crash landed in that field and created a 3/4 long mile series of debris.
And you
right?
know the first thing the aliens were told? Oh, it gets cold at night. It's a desert.
You know, you're gonna want to wear a jacket. It gets really hot in the afternoon. You don't have the weather. Wait 5 minutes. Which is what everybody says about every city you've ever been to and every city you've ever lived in.
It's true sometimes.
But so this object crashed, the Brazel farm. These very scared men who are so used to seeing these things because they're around all these various areas where
Last one, let's make it a
Project
good
Mogul is
one.
currently being tested. They've seen these objects in the sky. We know that Los Alamos is only 3.5 hours south of this location. And what's right next to it is Roswell Air Base. So they see all of this.
Nope.
You know, what the fuck it is. It's been left out there for days, which is also very interesting. We should go on to disprove their idea that it was some experimental balloon, Project Mogul, blah, blah, blah. Right? So they called the Royal Air Base. Guess who is occupying the Roswell Air Base? The 509th crew. The guys that were the flight team that flew the
Think about
Enola
this.
Gay to go
51,
drop the bombs on
25.
Hiroshima. That crew, including their
25
bombardier, a guy named
times-
Jesse Marshall.
Or well,
went
let's
over, was
say,
the first man
let's just
to
say
see
40.
the wreckage that happened. He's like, this is the weirdest
Well,
shit I've
you know
ever
what,
seen.
no, let's do
This is the
25
guy that is
times,
used to, think about it, this guy who
10.
lived in training the Manhattan
Pretty
Project.
headshots.
He was
A lot
like,
of
what the living
headshots.
fuck is all this stuff? He packed it to a bunch of boxes, took it back to his home, showed his kids all of this weird shit. This like weird aluminum foil that you pull apart and it would collapse back in on itself. These I-beams with weird like symbols drawn, don't know what the fuck it is. He brings it to his commander. His commander gives the okay to go to the newspapers and say, we have found footage, we have found the wreckage of a flying saucer, which is where we get that very famous picture, where we get the very famous headline, where, you know, like UFOs found in Roswell, blah, blah, blah. But then the next day, he takes Jesse Marshall into another room, and he's like, this is the stuff you found. And hands him a box, and it's just weather balloon wreckage.
Yeah.
And then he takes out, and that's where we get the picture of Jesse Marshall holding up that piece of weird aluminum foil in the newspaper, disproving it. Then you see actually flying saucer was a weather balloon.
Sure.
We don't know now what the fuck it is. It's just like wild to think that all in this area, this shit's all happening at once.
Within a
that's
few
the
years.
thread.
That's the thread, yeah.
All right.
No,
there
dude,
it is.
that's real. But
No, I love it. I mean, I think that's
But
fascinating.
what if there's something to nuclear ability, Trent? Because we know that the Greys got interested in this because of this ability. Why? I don't know. Are Greys just
Why do
feature
we know
human?
that for a
I
fact?
have this like
Don't they already
idea.
have the ability?
This is like a highfalutin idea. It's like dumb, super sci-fi based, right? What if nuclear signatures are bookmarks throughout time and allows time-traveling objects, which is kind of what David Grush is kind of hinting at, that they're saying that the stuff that we're finding at the bottom of the ocean is actually saying it's not from
Oh my
that
god.
maybe it's something that either
Excuse me.
a dimension that's in the future and
Whew.
they're literally coming back. And maybe that's
That
what
was
they
a
find
snooze.
other points in time is from nuclear
Snoozle.
So you want to have more nuclear explosions?
No, I'm
you
just
want
saying.
more bombs? So you want more bombs, more interactions with the alien life?
This guy
It
Jesse
is
Mars,
possible.
it's just crazy. This guy Jesse
What if we
Marcel's
just-
life is just fucking nuts. The fact that you're tied into all of this shit at once is like very like he was a strange man.
Sounds like he had a hell of a life. We should. Is there any place on Earth we can just like bomb a whole bunch and just be like, come on, hang out? The moon's great. No, we can't blow up the moon.
No, but just on them, set off bombs on them.
That's close enough, and then we can meet on the moon, neutral territory.
Well, the moon could certainly be very important to us in the future if, as Henry said, we could build nuclear bases up there.
Well, that'd be our way station.
Yeah, and then we could bring nuclear power cells down to Earth via a gigantic space elevator.
Yeah,
the
space
Hubble,
truckers.
the Hubble
Yo,
just had some
where's
new pictures
the
released
team?
as well.
Now, by the 1980s, it was generally agreed upon amongst historians that President Truman was well aware of all the alternatives to end the war without using the bomb. He knew that we didn't need to invade Japan to secure a victory, and he knew that the claim that the bomb had to be dropped to save American lives was a lie used to sell
Fuck.
the bomb to the American public.
Just saw that
The
guy.
actual reasons why he chose to drop the bomb, however, are many. They range from we spent a lot of money on this fucking thing, so we gotta use it. We gotta show the Soviets that we mean business. It could have even just been fucking simple revenge against the Japanese for dragging us into a war that was, by all accounts, a blood-soaked horror show from beginning to end. Killed over 40,000 Americans, wounded almost 150,000 more. There was this fucking grudge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In the end, though, it was probably a combination of all three. The fact remains, however, that just the existence of nuclear weaponry can be hard to fully comprehend. The
Nope.
Manhattan Project is
Yeah.
such a massive
No!
chunk
Ah,
of
shit.
human history that it's hard to put into words.
Was
what
that,
it really meant
long
for
range?
mankind to split the
Might
atom.
have
We
been.
just did 6 episodes.
Yeah, we did though. It's actually we did try to
18 pages of script per episode. You do the fucking
Oh, that was a
math.
good little side stab.
It's close to it. It's like a third of a book.
Now, I'm not going to say that we should all come together to push for nuclear disarmament because, frankly, it isn't up to us, and it never was. The doomsday clock has been close to midnight for a long time and shows no sign of turning back anytime soon.
I have
Put a fucking
complaints.
5 seconds closer to midnight. I said, just turn it back.
Yeah, and no amount of protest is going to change that. See, with atomic weaponry, humanity ripped something from the grip of nature itself and
Cool.
introduced it into the world without thinking of the
Fuck.
consequences beyond the nearsighted view of one tribe
think I might be
trying to
tired.
scare another tribe with a bigger stick.
Is it weird to say that makes me more proud of us?
I mean, it's so simple and so complex.
All right,
At the same time.
going this
Like
way.
other powerful technological innovations like, say, social media, it's quite possible that humans simply can't be trusted with nuclear weapons. We're too violent, too volatile, too temperamental. In fact, it is a miracle that only two
I was gonna say,
nuclear
what the
weapons
fuck,
have been used
man?
in aggression since their inception almost 80 years ago. But, on the other hand, perhaps it isn't a miracle.
Yeah, it's a gift from time travelers who came in order to. We had to invent nuclear technology in order to create the hole in the gap that allows them to shoot through time sections to our time.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Thank
That's
you
a
for
very
interjecting.
important piece of information. He's talking about time lapse.
Perhaps we can handle that power because we've been handling it. Aside, of course, from a couple of close calls and oopsie-doos that almost ended the world during the Cold War.
I mean, it seems like a real big yada yada.
We did just kind of briefly talk about that one plane that just accidentally dropped something over North Carolina.
Oh,
What was it,
yeah,
10 years ago or
that,
some shit?
that bomb just like rolled around a street.
Yeah, the flock of geese that almost ended the world, so on and so
It is
forth.
amazing how the human brain just wraps it all up together. It's like, oh, I guess that happens.
Yeah, but even so, in every case, there was someone in the room with enough intelligence and compassion to prevent the world from blowing up. There was always someone there to keep it from happening. And if history is any indication, we have a good chance of that trend continuing. In fact, considering how many military personnel we have who listen to this show, it may one day be up to you to be that person. So go forth with mercy. And if it is ever your choice to decide whether or not to press that button, remember the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Of course, when you press that button, get that Uber Eats, You're gonna want to have lunch, and you'll be different when you're done.
As far as I'm concerned, the only bombs I'm dropping are jokes on the tip.
There you go.
Right. Yeah, buddy.
Well,
Wow.
all right. I mean, it is very scary. Humans brought us into this. Science brought us here as well. But it is just, it does. Like the man who saved the world. Fantastic documentary about the Russian.
Oh yeah.
It's just one person.
Yeah. Just one guy.
Man, you just gotta hope they make the right decision at the right time. But
It's the X factors of history we bring up all the time. It's that human element. It's
somebody
what's keeping us alive, and we just gotta keep that playing that whole like let's keep us alive
you
game.
know, like people fail up all the time.
Yeah.
So then it's just like,
That is true. But I do.
we have faith. We have faith.
We have faith. We have to have faith.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, then this fucking weird chaos magic ritual that we accidentally did many years ago that seems to manifest things out in the world after we talk about them on this show. It's happened, I think, about 3 dozen times
We
now.
just have to keep knocking on
We just
wood.
have to keep knocking on
Keep
wood
on
and put
knocking on
positivity
wood.
out there so that we don't manifest some sort of nuclear
I'm more
explosion.
scared of all the sonar weapons.
Well, sonar
so many
weapons
different
are
weapons that I'd be
rough,
scared of,
and then
but-
you know there's the Grey Goop. We can do a Grey Goop incident where our nano machine technology kind of goes haywire
Oh, we've already
and
seen
makes
it.
a giant encompassing Grey Goop to destroy the world. There's also solar flares that we're still waiting for the big one. George Norrie is afraid to this day.
Yep.
Solar
About the
flare's
solar
gonna be
flare.
large.
So there's so many ways for everything to end. So I'm actually still holding out for that.
Yeah, I'm holding out for the solar flare as well.
Yeah.
Because we can come back from that.
I'm sort of
Slowly, the first couple months are gonna be rough.
Yeah, I'm holding out for Godzilla.
No.
Godzilla.
Man, this was crazy, dude. So much work. Good work, Marcus.
Thank you.
Thank you to our whole research team that helped us with fucking everything.
Thank you to Madeline Shaw, who I will say is a co-producer on this series.
Oh, yeah,
She
she
killed it.
great job. Joel did great work. I want to thank Rob, Fernando, that have been working on the show. We want to thank everybody. Like, we did it. We landed her in the heart.
We did.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening.
And come and check it out. We've got a couple of special announcements. We are going to be in San Diego at the San Diego Comic-Con. I know Friday was our day.
Friday ends. I think we're going to be signing on Friday and doing a panel on Saturday. Probably signing on Saturday as well. So
Yep.
we'll see y'all there.
Well, there you go. And I'm going to be in Las Vegas that weekend, yucking it up on Sunday at some place in Las Vegas. I think it's called Wise Guys.
You go see that motherfucker. And then, if you were in the Los Angeles area, come and see us do the final performance of our tour, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, at the Palace Theater, November 4th. But for those of you that cannot be in town to see it live, we're going to do one last final big stream show
Yes,
to
big
get
stream.
this tour out of our focus.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for supporting the show as the Last Podcast Network. Everyone's doing such a great job. We're doing little serious ventures as well. And do we have anything else other than the normal stuff? Thanks for all your support, everyone. Yeah. Thanks for listening to this series. I hope you learned something. Hope you laughed. And,
I hope you
we
did.
don't have to
I hope you fucking cried.
Well, it's a bit of both.
They might have.
That's the power of this show.
Yeah.
You laugh, you cry, you learn, you think, and then also you're dumber.
Yeah, and you're also dumber.
Which is
I'll
so
say that.
bizarre.
It all evens out.
It really does.
Don't worry, our next series is going to make you much stupider.
I can't wait. I need.
Are you
just
for real?
wade in cryptid blood.
We got some.
I just want cryptid talk for the next like month.
We'll do it.
All right, everyone, hail yourselves.
Hail Satan. Again.
Legalization.
Never drop a bomb again.
Don't do it.
Send soda.
Oh,
Kill him with sugar.
I mean, honestly, Urban Brew is maybe more dangerous.
Alright.
It used to
Think
be
that's
a tire
me.
brew, and it used to be dangerous until they took all the fucking sugar out of it, and now it's not as good.
This show is made possible by listeners like you. Thanks to our ad sponsors, you can support our shows by supporting them. For more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lastpodcastnetwork.com.
Last Podcast on the Left is brought to you by Progressive. Most of you aren't just listening right now. You're driving, cleaning, and even exercising.